Okay. Good evening, and welcome to the City Council of Leon Valley regular meeting. Today's Tuesday, April 7th, and it's approximately 6 p.m. And as you can see, we do have a quorum. All City Council members are present. And I was going to ask Councilor Campos if he would lead us in the pledge. If y'all would please stand. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
God bless you. Bless you.
All right. Agenda item number 2, citizens to be heard. Is there anyone in our chambers that would like to address the council? Please come forward, state your name, and just generally where you reside, and you have up to 3 minutes to speak. Okay, Mr. Diaz, good evening and welcome.
Thank you. Mayor and Council, good afternoon, good evening.
Good evening.
Abraham Diaz, 0114 Kingman Drive. I see that presentation number 4 shows the forest pool improvement, so I guess we're going to spend $800,000 of our tax dollars to fix the pool that only gives us $30,000 a year. So I'm kind of hoping that we got all 6 officers this year and we have extra firefighters this year, because that's what's bothering me, is that public safety should be number 1. Your city employees and their benefits and all the things that they need should be number 2. Capital projects should be number 3. And then everything else should come after that. We just finished fixing Seneca, in my area, the water lines. But we didn't do water lines on Mary Jamison, William Rancher, and Seneca. Why? We didn't have enough money. But yet we are putting $800,000 into the swimming pool when we should be doing capital projects. We have sewer issues. We have water issues. We have to make sure that we can put our water turns on, our electrical turns on, and we can flush our toilets. If we have issues, those need to be fixed first. And yet, we are here putting $800,000 into a swimming pool. And I asked the chief, hey, did you get your 6 guys? He says, no, so far I haven't gotten any. I mean, San Antonio Police Department is asking for a 12% increase. 12%, that's the city of San Antonio. Why wouldn't we not ask for an increase as well? I guess crime is not rampant here in Leon Valley. We live in a nice place. With all these extra houses coming in, I mean, we need to have our police officers funded. We need to have our chiefs funded. Now, I understand that, our city employees are clocking in or don't even clock in, or they have issues with payroll, that they do it by hand. Why are we not up to the times? Why are we not putting in a cobble clock where our employees can come in, put their finger on something, clock in and clock out, and it generates their time, and it's something simple for them to do payroll, something like that. Why do we, as Leon Valley, have to be in the stone ages of doing things like we did back in the 60s and the 70s? Bring our city employees up to date on what they do. That $800,000 can go towards that. Also, I'm finding out that this erosion project across the street is costing us money, because every time they draw up a plan, you all don't like it because it's going to affect the 6 trees that are there and the house that's there. I mean, come on, you didn't care about the trees that were behind my house, and you all wiped them all out. You even gave the developer the right to go ahead and knock them all out, but now you're worried about this over here? So every time that there's a change in the plan, or now you're like on 5 or 6 plans, that's costing money. My money, their money. So,
Okay.
I mean, come on.
Thank you, Mr. Diaz. All right, anyone else? Good evening, Mr. Power, and welcome.
Drew Power from Leon Valley. I live up in the Canterfield area. Got the honor of serving on jury duty for our municipal court in Leon Valley. I've been here for 10 years. I got called. I got selected for one of the 3 trials and sat through the other 2. And I got to tell you, I really like the way we run our court here.
Great.
It was a pleasant experience, and I thank you all for the opportunity to be able to serve and do my civic
Thank you so much for your service. Do appreciate it. All right, anyone else? Yes. Good evening, Ms. Chason, and welcome.
Good evening, Mayor. I just want to give a big thanks to David Demeline and also to Jesse. There was the project to doing the sewers in my area, and unfortunately, they were given the wrong plans, and they thought my sewer line was in the front, and I was not connected. And David showed up right away with Jesse, and he took care of it. And he also gave me the supervisor of the crew's number, and I was able to chat with him directly when he picked up the phone. When he picked up the phone, and he also did a beautiful job of putting everything back together. One of the best jobs on my property that's ever been done by the city's contracted agencies. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. And thank you to Public Works. Really appreciate that. All right. Anyone else like to address the council? Good evening, Ms. Moser. Good to see you. Good to see everyone. So glad to.
Teresa Mosier, Canterfield, 22-year resident, retired Health and Human Services caseworker.
Retired.
Yes.
Oh,
But
congrats.
let me tell you, I'm not happy. I'm going to piggyback off the first gentleman. My husband and I tried to go into the staging post, the new little business here, and we invited a number of people here. They made one attempt to come in to do shopping and said, due to the disgusting conditions along Evers Road, the homeless encampments and all that, they were not coming back. Very upset over that. This neighborhoods have been allowed to run down way too long. I get it. The homeless population is hard to deal with. There's 3 encampments now where the old Sonic was. Tried to get my dog into the vet up here to Leon Valley Vet, who are moving out because y'all won't help him deal with the city road issues. And there's a crazy guy in the parking lot throwing rocks. Y'all gonna have to do something with this hot mess. I pay taxes. I don't use the library, parks, pools, anything. But I do expect to be able to do business in the city I live in. Y'all are losing out on my taxpayer money, my sales tax money. I spend a lot of money, but I don't come in this way because why? Why am I going to dodge people standing in the middle of the road throwing rocks? Why? I get it. It's a hot button topic. I've dealt with this population. They can be dealt with. It may not be the most pleasant, but they can be dealt with, and they need to be, because you're fixing to lose the staging post. They're not going to make it. You're going to lose Leon Valley Vet, because no one here will return his call. TxDOT won't return his call. I was just there today, and it's hard for his employees to get in and out because that crazy person in the parking lot over there. Walgreens won't do anything. Their corporate won't do anything.
Okay.
Someone needs to do something, or y'all are going to lose even more money. And that's a big, he was going to build a $3.5 million building. He said, you know what, I'm moving on out. That is insane. To put up with a few people who can't conform to society, that is insane. Y'all need to get on with it, because otherwise the city's going to lose more revenue.
Okay, thank you for those comments. Do appreciate it. Yes, Council. City Manager Caldera.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
So we have had multiple meetings with Dr. Meyer. He's having issues with his right-of-way and TxDOT in regards to the Bandera Road Parkway, but we'll reach out to him first thing tomorrow. As far as the homeless encampments, we do our best. We just cleaned a big one up off of Timco. If y'all took a look at my current city manager's report. So we try our best to keep them under control. On Evers, it's a little bit different because the portion that they're staying in is in the city of San Antonio. And so we just encourage you, if you call us, but to please call 311 if you see them on that side of Evers Road. So, but we will get back to Mr. Meyer, Dr. Meyer, and see what's going on.
Good. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for those comments. Yes. Okay, thank you. All right. Anyone else like to address the council before we move on? Okay, seeing no one, then no one else, we will go down to presentation 3.1, presentation of a proclamation, and I'll take 3.1 and 3.2 together, and let me read both of those, please. Presentation of proclamation declaring April 19th to the 25th National Library Week 2026, and 3.2, presentation of the 2025 Texas Municipal Library Directors Association's Achievement of Excellence in Library Award, given to Regina Reed and her team at the Leon Valley Library, which is awesome. So I'm so excited for you, both of y'all. So let me come down. Appreciate it. Hi, how are y'all doing?
And I just want to note that we have Angelina Corona and Sherry Watson with us today, too.
Yay, good, good, good. Good to see y'all. Okay, so let me put these down. And let me start with the proclamation. How many of y'all knew that it was National Library Week? Okay. Well, it's not quite yet. It's coming. Okay, let me read this proclamation. Put my glasses on. And this is every year, right? Every year. It's just like we have Public Works Week and everything. Okay, National Library Week 2026 proclamation. Can y'all hear me? There we go. Whereas libraries spark creativity, fuel imagination, and inspire lifelong learning, offering a space where individuals of all ages can find joy through exploration and discovery. Whereas libraries serve as vibrant community hubs, connecting people with knowledge, technology, and resources while fostering civic engagement, critical thinking, and cultural enrichment. Whereas libraries provide free and equitable access to books, digital tools, and innovative programming, ensuring that all individuals, regardless of background, have the support they need to learn, connect, and thrive. Whereas libraries partners with schools, businesses, and organizations to maximize resources, increase efficiency, and expand access to essential services, strengthening the entire community. Whereas libraries empower job seekers, entrepreneurs, and lifelong learners by providing access to resources, training, and opportunities that support career growth and economic success. Whereas libraries nurture young minds through story times, STEM programs. Is that STEM or STEAM? That's STEAM. I always, I want to say STEM. All of a sudden I looked at that and went, no, STEAM programs. Okay, you're going to have to tell us what all those mean when I finish. And literacy initiatives fostering curiosity and a love of learning that last a lifetime. Whereas libraries protect the right to read, think, and explore without censorship, standing as champions of intellectual freedom and free expression. Whereas dedicated librarians and library workers provide welcoming spaces that inspire discovery, collaboration, and creativity for all. Whereas libraries, librarians, and library workers across the countries are joining together to celebrate National Library Week under the theme, Find Your Joy. I love that. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Chris Riley, Mayor of the City of Leon Valley, proclaim April 19th to the 25th, 2026 as National Library Week. During this week, I encourage all residents to visit their library, explore its resources, and celebrate all the ways that the library help our community find joy. Signed by my hand, Mayor Chris Riley, on the April 7th, 2026. Let's give the library a huge round of our support. Thank you. Okay, it used to be STEM, right? Okay, there we go.
It's been both. It's science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics.
Arts and mathematics. Okay, so now it's STEAM. Okay, very good. Thank you. I stand corrected. All right. Would y'all like to say anything about what y'all are going to be doing during Library Week?
We don't have anything special planned.
Okay.
We're just doing our normal things,
Okay.
which is everything all the time.
Mhm.
So
That's right. We've got
please
a lot
come
going
see
on.
us. Our normal story times, I think we may have a scavenger hunt sometime this month. I'm not sure if it's during that week or not, but our calendar is online and available in the print mode at the library.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. So then we'll go on to the next agenda, and that is with great honor, I present our city librarian, Regina Reed, and her wonderful staff, the 2025 Achievement of Excellence in Libraries Award. And this is presented to the Leon Valley Library, Public Library by the Texas Municipal Library Directors Association. Let me present this to Regina Reed. This is like, I don't know how many, this is year after year after year. And what's so unique about it is not everybody gets this award. It's I have it down here, the top 20% of all libraries. So only 101 libraries in the state of Texas received this award out of 516 public libraries. That is really an achievement. So thank you so much for honoring our city like you do. So thank you.
Thank you. We just get the award every year by doing what we do, by being what libraries are supposed to be and being for the people and the citizens of Leon Valley. And so we thank you for coming to our programs, supporting us, and just being the people that we like to work for. So thank you.
You're welcome. And please do go by the library because Sherry Watson, to Regina's left, is still continuing to do her fantastic artwork. I was there on Saturday. And I said, are you going to go further? And you said, no, you're stopping. I'm like, oh. But anyway, it's beautiful. So please go to the library. And of course, Angelina, you're just a bright smile. And so is Dakota. I met him on Saturday. So I really enjoyed the young staff that we have helping the senior staff. There we go. All right. So thank you all very much. Let's give them a round of applause again. Welcome. All right, see you in the library. All righty, great. Thank you. All right. Presentation 3.3, presentation and discussion from TML vendor HomeServe service line program. And, well,
She's here. She's right behind me.
Emily, is it Zaffrini?
Delphine.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here. And Dr. Cordero, would you like to do the introduction, please?
Yes, I sure will. So I just kind of wanted to give you a little bit of a background as to why Emily is here this evening. I guess a lot of y'all put your all's cards in her bowl at TML, and so she was very diligently contacting the city and I think members of the council. I did sit through her presentation. The mayor and I have met with several residents over the last couple of years that have had issues with plumbing that they're requesting that the city assist with. And for those of you that don't know, you're responsible for all plumbing from the meter to your house. We handle from the meter to the street and further. And so after I sat through the presentation, I thought, well, since she's been contacting everyone, I thought it was appropriate that she come, give y'all a presentation. If it's something that y'all are interested in, we can put it on a future agenda, go over the contract and the agreement. If it's not something you think that we should be involved in, that's fine as well. You would just have to let me know and we can move on. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Emily. I did let her know she has 10 minutes.
All right, very good. Good evening and welcome. We're so glad you're here. Thank you.
Much. Again, I appreciate you taking the time. Again, my name is Emily Zalfini. I represent the service line program by HomeServe. So I always like to start with just a quick little background on HomeServe. We, of course, administer the program. We've been in this business for over 20 years now. We're currently working with over 1,300 utilities and municipalities all across the country. We serve just under 5 million of their residents. We have strategic partnerships with the National Rural Water Association, Texas Rural Water Association, and just newly, we're actually one of 4 strategic partners with the ICMA. So obviously, we're really proud of all of our partnerships that range from, national to state, all the way to, the local utility and municipality level. But what the program's designed to do is to help address some of the public policy issues related to aging underground utility infrastructure, which we all know is really starting to plague a lot of the communities across the country. So we know communities like yours are always doing everything you can to update and maintain all sorts of public infrastructure. But on the residential side, there's not really much you can do. But that doesn't stop residents from still looking to the city for guidance or assistance, or maybe thinking you're actually responsible for things like this. So what we actually do is we partner with the community. That's what allows us to make our voluntary program available for residents. Then our first goal is really just simple customer education. We want to make sure people understand that they're responsible for the lines on their property. Then we do offer the option of protection for their external water lines, external sewer lines, and also in-home plumbing. It's optional. It's done with a very turnkey approach, meaning we handle everything from the marketing, billing, claims, customer service. Really, all of it's handled by us. There's no cost whatsoever to the city to participate. No public funds are ever used. In fact, we actually offer a small revenue back that's based on that participation. So for me personally, what I think is most beneficial is that educational piece. So I've been with HomeServe for just over 10 years, and I still hear the same thing over and over, and that's if a resident has an issue with their water or sewer line, a lot of the time their first call's to the city. You ask some questions, maybe send someone out, and oftentimes you find the issues on the resident side. And then, like I mentioned, there's not really much you can do to help, but whoever speaks with them ends up being the bearer of bad news and having to let them know this is their responsibility. Usually homeowners' policies don't cover these kinds of things. And we find a lot of people don't know or maybe don't understand that. And I admit to everyone always, even though it's a little embarrassing, that I actually fell into that category myself prior to working for HomeServe. I'd owned my home for 5 or 6 years, I think it was at that point. And I had an idea that I would be responsible for the lines on my property, but I thought my homeowner's policy would just cover whatever repair I needed. So I can only imagine if I found out because of a major issue, then you have to do some research, find a contractor, pay for everything. So I kind of like to think of the program at its base as almost like a free public awareness campaign for the city, because what we'd be doing is sending out letters to each resident, letting them know which portion of their line they're responsible for, letting them know that the city's working with us just to make sure they have some options if they want to pick up that coverage. So that way, even if no one enrolls, you can say that you've taken a proactive approach in making sure people know that they're responsible and then do have those options available. For those who do enroll, of course, we offer them a little peace of mind. Essentially, for a few dollars a month, they're transferring the risk of their lines to us. Then if they have any kind of issue, whether it's a broken, cracked, leaky pipe, tree root, clog, whatever it might be, they just give us a call. We have US-based call centers. They're available 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year. And then we work with local area contractors for all of our repairs. So that's another key piece of the program. We only use local area contractors. We do it for a few reasons. Number one, we do want to try and keep any revenue within your community as best we can. But also, we expect that local contractors should be aware of any codes, requirements, anything unique in the area. So we expect them to get the job done up to the city standards. That includes any permits or licensing that might be required. When it comes to the selection of the contractors, we sort of let our partners get as involved or uninvolved in that as you'd like. No matter what, though, we go through our own vetting, so we make sure that they meet all state and local requirements. We also go as far as running background checks and drug screenings. So we just try to do anything we can from our side to hopefully make sure that the contractors we work with are people residents are going to feel comfortable having come to their home. And then as far as those contractors are concerned, they're not paying us anything to join. We don't take a portion of the job. We don't even tell them what they can charge. They can still charge us their standard rates. Now, as far as homeowners are concerned, they have 3 completely separate options for protection. So one for the external water line, one for the external sewer line, and then the third for their in-home plumbing. Those 2 external options, the coverage itself is set up pretty much identically once someone's enrolled, but we do tailor it to that portion of the line where the resident's responsible. But if somebody enrolled, what they would get would be up to $12,000 of protection per incident. There's no service fee, no deductible, no annual or lifetime limit, and we do not limit the number of claims that they can file in a year. Third option, that in-home plumbing, picks up where those 2 leave off, so that's any water, sewer, or drain line in the home. Also includes simple things like a clogged toilet. Again, always on a per incident basis. No service fees, no deductibles, no annual or lifetime limits. Essentially, when this was put together forever ago now, they decided they didn't want a service fee to stop somebody from giving us a call to get the issue taken care of. And of course, people tend to be a lot more proactive. If they don't have to search around for a contractor, if they don't know someone or worry about paying a ton out of pocket, I always like to point out it's kind of the opposite of a normal insurance claim. So the way that this is designed to work is once someone's enrolled, if they have any kind of issue, they give us a call. We set them up with the contractor, send the contractor to them, and then once the job is complete, we're actually paying those contractors directly. So no money's exchanging hands. They're not paying up front, filing a claim, and waiting and hoping to be reimbursed or anything like that. So one of the other features of the program I mentioned in the beginning is that incremental revenue that we offer to the city. The way that that works is we would offer 10% of whatever revenue we bring in from the customers who choose to actually enroll and pay into the program back to the city each year in the form of a royalty. Now, this is non-taxable revenue. There's no limit on how you can use it. You can put it towards anything you'd like, but it is also optional, so you can turn it down if you choose to, and if you do, we pass the savings to the residents who enroll by lowering their pricing. Now, the last thing I like to touch on is how we actually market. So we really only market by direct mail. There's no door-to-door, no telemarketing. We try not to bombard people with too much mail. We have a maximum of 3 mail campaigns each year. Once that very first letter goes out, that's what triggers the availability of the program. At that point, customers can enroll into any combination of those 3 that they choose. They can either fill out the letter or the form on the letter, which usually only talks about 1 at a time, or call into our call center or go onto our website where all 3 are available and they can get more information as well. But what we ask of from the city here is to kind of help us introduce the program. It kind of doubles as that educational piece. We ask for the use of the city logo on some of our marketing material, particularly the outer envelope. It's really what gets people to open our letters and actually read them. And of course, the more who read them, the more who enroll, the better we can maintain the pricing, the coverage, the contractor network, all of that. Because we ask for the use of the logo, the second thing we'd ask of from you would be for your review and approval of any marketing material before it goes out. So 3 times a year, we send it all over via email, give you a chance to review it. Messaging is always flexible, so we'll work with you there. Once we get an approval from the city, we let you know exactly when we'll mail, so you know right around the time the residents would get it in the mail. And then really the key is if for any reason you do not want us to mail, even if it's just to take a break, that's absolutely fine. We do not mail without permission for each individual campaign. And then the last thing we ask of from you would be to overall approve the concept of the program and enter into what we call our marketing agreement. Basically just wraps everything I said up into writing. It gives us the ability to use that logo, but only after the final right to review and approve from the city to decide what it says and if it ever hits those mailboxes. And of course, I know that was a ton of information. I tried to get through it quickly for you all, but as of right now, we actually are up to, I believe it's 51 HomeServe partners across the state of Texas, and we've reached just over $34 million in repair costs in the state so far. So does anyone have any questions or thoughts?
Yes, I do. How much does this cost?
Yeah, so
I mean, that's one thing you haven't touched on, which is really important to our citizens.
Absolutely. So people can pick and choose. The external water line coverage is $6.99 a month. The external sewer line coverage is $7.99 a month. And then the in-home plumbing, it is a bit high. It's $20.99 a month. A lot of people use it and not that many people enroll. So unfortunately, they recently did raise that price.
Okay. All right. And do you have any, I don't see anybody here in Bexar County
So
that you have a partner with?
Yeah, the closest partners, I believe, whenever I looked, were Hondo, Poteet, Uvalde, and Kyle. Yeah, so
All right.
the majority of our partners started off in the DFW area because we had someone initially working there.
All right. Thank you. And would you also be asking to use our mailing list for our citizens as well?
Great question. So you have the option if you would like to provide us the mailing data. Of course, we love that. That's the most accurate, but you do not have to.
Okay.
We can purchase from a third party.
Okay, very good. I'll open it up to my colleagues for any other questions. Yes, Councilor Campos.
So you mentioned local area contractors. So, you know, we're such a small city. I don't know how many plumbing contractors we have within the city. So sometimes when they said that's a benefit, well, it may not be for us because we're surrounded by San Antonio. So when somebody calls in and they have a claim, do you provide them a list of the contractors they can choose from, or do you send a contractor that you've pre-selected?
So generally the way it works, and I actually fortunately/unfortunately had to use the program recently myself, you'll call in and then basically the first available contractor in our contractor network would reach out to schedule an appointment with that homeowner.
And I've noticed, so here within our city, the way our water systems work is that 1/3 of our citizens have the San Antonio water system, water source. and then 2/3 have our Leon Valley. So are you looking to target just our local Leon Valley water system customers?
That would technically be up to you. It's technically, if it would be under the city logo, you can target all of the customers, even if they're under San Antonio. You don't have to own and operate, but sometimes we have partners who prefer to only target the ones within the utility.
And then how do you prevent someone who receives this information with our logo that they're not satisfied with the claims process, the timing of the repair, or the quality of the repair, that it doesn't involve the city of Leon Valley?
Yeah, so there's actually a clause in our agreement. So the city is held harmless in all of that. Any liability comes back to us and our contractors to correct or make right.
Well, yeah, I saw it in the contract that you provided, the sample one, but it's our citizens trying to understand that, you
Right.
know, and it's got to be part, I think, if we're going to move forward with this, it has to be part of the campaign that says we're not affiliated and that kind of issue is not handled
Yeah,
through
and that's
the
something
city.
we can add into language. Like I said, the language is generally flexible. I offhand don't know of anything that says it specifically in our standard letters, but there's probably something that we can easily add for that.
All right.
I'm sure it's not the first time it's been asked.
And, you know, when we talk about, it's a marketing royalty or whatever it was called, I mean, can you give us an idea, like for the city of Poteet, what did the city yield? You know, and I know you might know offhand, but a city our size, it would be helpful for us to know, because it may be, well, you know, it may not yield anything to us. So,
Yeah, I can.
just if you could give us some of that information, because there isn't somebody we can touch here in Bear County, in any of the suburbs, that would have, you know, kind of a like type agreement. But I've seen this from where I've come from, and so I am familiar with this type of agreement, so.
Yeah, obviously, I don't have anything in front of me, but I can get that information for you, definitely.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate your presentation, and we'll get back with you if
Thank
the
you. I
council
hope you all have a
decides to
great
move
rest of your-
forward. Yes.
I hope you have a great
bet.
rest of your night.
You
Thank
do.
you all.
Thank you. Okay. Agenda item number 3.4, presentation of the 2026 swim season, an update on the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department grant received for the Forest Oaks Pool Improvement Project. And we have Mr. Demeline, our Public Works Director, here this evening to present. Good evening and welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Yes.
So we're going to, we wanted to present the 2026 swim season this evening. As you all know, the Forest Oaks Pool is managed by San Antonio Pool Management. They're in charge of the lifeguards, concessions, water quality, and monitoring the membership. The fees are still the same. So for residents, it's $40 for adult, $30 for children. The non-resident rate is $100 for an adult, $60 for children. We do have an affordability rate, and the daily gate fee is $5, and we have a maximum amount per family. So the schedule this year, we're going to be opening Saturday, May 23rd. We're going to operate the 23rd through August the 9th, and our hours will be from 10 to 8. We're closed on Wednesday, so we're open 6 days a week. And then again, August 15th through the 27th of September for the weekends only for 10 to 8. And this schedule is in coordination with the NISD schedule as well. So we have concessions. We're going to continue with the swim lane. That'll be roped off for members that would like to do the laps earlier in the day. 2 lifeguards will be on duty from 10 to 12, and then we'll have an additional 2 lifeguards from 12 to 8. And the Forest Oaks pool is also available for party rentals as well. So we for total revenue, and I want to apologize, Mayor and Council, that number is actually a little over 45,000. I accidentally overcounted on some season passes, so that number should be just a little over 45,000. Expenses were a little over 123,000, and that's for the contract, repairs, and utilities. So this year, the rate from San Antonio Pool Management, or the proposals for 109,000. The pumps and motors, we feel are in pretty good shape, but we do have one that will likely need to be replaced, and that'll be about $2,500. And of course, the funding for this comes out of the Public Works budget. So
Okay.
in
Excuse me,
2020, yes.
I just had a question about the other, how do we advertise for our pool parties? Because I thought the revenue for that was kind of low, but I thought maybe if we did a better job of promoting it, that we could get more revenue.
We can definitely do that. We'll get the word out and the Lions Roar and through our posts. We can.
Because especially
I'll work with Crystal.
the hill with all of the beautiful trees and stuff is really a beautiful area. And I don't know if our citizens know that they can even rent that area for a
Yeah,
party, so.
We did have, last year they only had 5 parties. So
Yeah, I saw that, and I thought, well, we should have a lot more than that, so, okay, thank you.
We'll
I just
definitely
wanted
work
to.
on that.
Yes, any other questions? Yes,
Yes,
Counselor.
thank you. On that line, David, the party room that was there was not really a very attractive room to have parties in. What improvement has been done in the past several years to make it attractive so people can want to have their party there?
Well, we did paint it a few years ago, and we can take a look at that, Counselor, definitely see what we can do to try to, improve the look in there. We did replace the refrigerator and freezer in there as well, but that's kind of what we have right now. But we can look into seeing what we can do to improve the looks.
Yeah, because a while back they were using it as storage and pretty difficult to get in there and do anything, so, but yeah, we'll check up on it.
Sure.
Okay.
I sure will.
Yes, Counselor Campos, and then Counselor Marsh.
So, Mr. Demeline, David, can you find out from the other, like the city of San Antonio and any other suburb that may have a pool operation, do they break even, or is this the nature of this type of quality of life amenity for a city? Where, there's more expenses than revenue. And then, so that would be one task that I'd like for you to update us on. The second thing is, if you and your staff and whoever within the city maybe come up with some recommendations as to how to boost any type of revenue for this pool. Do we need to go up on fees? Do we need to advertise more? What is it that we need to do? So that's what those are my comments. And then if you go back a couple of slides on the dates of operation, what's the gap? Why from the 9th to the 15th there's a gap? Why do we have that gap?
So NISD is starting school this year on August the 9th. And so I'm pretty sure it's that week. I would need to look at that, at the calendar, but it should be 10th through the 14th. Okay, thank you. So then it opens back up on the weekend.
The 15th through the 27th is weekend only.
Okay.
Okay,
All right. So that gap is really the week is that Monday through Friday? Is that what that is? Okay.
Yep. All of your lifeguards are high school kids, and so
Got
they
it.
can't lifeguard during the day.
Got it.
Counselor Marsh.
So in terms of the party rentals, what's included in the fees? What are you getting for it?
Well, we have a couple of different options. There's the party room that you can rent, and that's the most expensive. But then we also have we call it the Hill, but it's the the kind of the lawn area under all the trees. You can rent that area out for parties. And that one, for that rental, it's like $150.
So does the party room include any like tables and chairs?
Yes, it does.
And
Yes.
does the hill include anything more than just the picnic tables that are there? Like, can you get additional picnic tables, or how do you prevent somebody from grabbing it before you get there?
It's pretty much, we can move tables around, like for folks, you know, the tables are movable. But yeah, it's pretty much limited just to that area. So it's, we've never had any complaints about like a lack of tables. So I think they just, they pretty much just set up their area, if you will, and have their party on that, in that section.
And going
called
back to the party room, does it include any tables and chairs, or it's just an empty room with a refrigerator?
No, that's what he said.
Okay.
Mhm, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah,
Dr. Caldera.
So we did look, so when we look at the fees for the pool and how much it generates and whether or not we've gone through this, we used to offer the pool for free.
free, yeah.
There is no city out there that is going to generate enough revenue to cover the cost of the pool. The pool is considered a public pool. It's a quality of life. We use the fees to try to help offset the contract piece of it, but by any means, it was never meant to, the fees were never meant to cover the cost of the pool. We don't charge fees to use the park. Your public pool is essentially the same kind of concept. And so we'll certainly take a look and see if there's any other cities around here, but we have done that about 3 years ago. Former Councilor Stevens made the same request. And when we were looking at shutting the other pool down, wanted to see if we could increase the revenues for the facility. And so advertising for pool part, we can do all of those things, but I don't want to give you all this false hope that you're going to raise money to cover the cost of servicing this pool.
Okay, very good. All right, thank you, I appreciate it. So if there's no other comments, anyone, we'll go on, thank you,
Okay.
appreciate it.
So the Texas Parks and Wildlife Grant, we applied for this grant in 2024, and we were notified this year that we were awarded the grant, and it is a 50% reimbursement match. The amount is $725,852. The project concept that we applied for was concept D, which is a little over 1.4 million. So the scope of work for that, we're going to keep the existing pool in place. It'll be replastered, new pool equipment. We're going to demolish the baby pool, all of the sidewalks and the pool decking, and then we're going to install new sidewalks, all new pool decking around the pool that'll be ADA compliant. We would demolish the existing building and restrooms as well, install new restrooms, a mechanical building, storage, and a lifeguard office. And then we were going to install a covered pavilion and shade canopies pretty much all around the pool. Install new fencing around the perimeter and a new ADA chairlift. So this is the schematic for that.
So, excuse me, David, so I don't know how set in stone this concept is, but I noticed that the pavilion is in that beautiful shady tree area, and I hate for us to denigrate those trees, because it really is a beautiful area. It doesn't need a pavilion up there. So how flexible is this grant as far as saying, well, we'd like to take this out and it would reduce the cost? I mean, just asking.
There's definitely flexibility, and as we work further along with the engineer and architect, we can bring that design back to you all as well as a briefing. But I don't think the intention was to remove any trees, so it would need to be within that area. And there is space because we're going to be taking out the baby pool.
Okay,
So
so
we
if it
could
was
look at
down
that
there
as
where the
an
baby
option
pool
as
is
well.
now, I see. Yeah, but if
I
it's
can
up there.
definitely report back
Okay.
with you as we get further along.
Okay, and then number 6 is the lifeguard station. Okay, it's over there. Okay, all right. All right, thank you. I just was wanting to know about that.
Sure, so yeah, this just kind of shows the shade structures. Of course, you have the same pool layout, and then the existing building will basically become part of the new pump room, mechanical equipment, an office for the lifeguards to handle the incoming traffic. And then the flagstone walkway will be kind of in the existing lawn area. All of the new apron will be ADA compliant. So this was just kind of a rendering that was used for the grant application. And with that, we have the grant timeline. So in February, we met with the Texas Parks and Wildlife staff, completed the site visit. They're working on preparing the package right now that'll go to the National Park Service, and they'll review that in May, June timeframe. In July, the federal agreement will be issued. We anticipate the local grant being issued to the city of Leon Valley in the fall. And then that grant period will be 4 years from the grant agreement date. So we'll have, basically the grant has provided 4 years to complete the project.
Okay.
We would start on the project on the plans and really try to, we would, of course, come back and brief you all on that and do the construction contract award with the goal of doing the construction. Unfortunately, the pool would more than likely need to be closed that following year during construction. And then, of course, we would be doing the grant reporting on that as well.
And how is the payments? You said 4 years, but how is the payments for the grant?
It's
Is it
similar-
spread out, or do you have to?
It's pretty similar to our grant projects that we do today. We turn in for reimbursements as
Okay,
we
so we
do
upfront the cost.
the pay app package. So
Okay.
it can be reimbursed through that process.
Okay, very good, thank you. Yes, Counselor Marsh.
So before the National Park Service reviews the package, is that when we need to look at the possibility of any changes in the design or the amenities or any of that kind of stuff? Or is that like the point of no return, like what they have now is what we're stuck with, or?
Well, basically, yes, the agreement or the grant application was approved based on the concept that we submitted in 2024. But there is, as we do the design, with the landscape architects, the engineer, as long as it fits within that same scope of work, we can do things like we can change things inside the footprint, if you will, but it needs to follow that same scope of work.
So I had a resident that was very concerned about the loss of the diving board. So is that something that's set in stone, that no diving board? Or I know that with some of the other proposed plans, there was a slide involved. So is any of that kind of stuff flexible?
It could be, as long as it fits within that same budget that we have, but we could revisit that as well. And of course, we would bring this back to you all in the form of a briefing and let you know how.
I would certainly like to recommend that we have some time to look at the possibility of any minor changes that might be appropriate or get public input
Get
or
public
whatever.
input, yeah, I think so.
Because we didn't have a lot of that
we didn't.
before.
That's incorrect. We got a lot of public input on the pool, on all the plans. And so,
I
you're
meant
going
a
to.
formal public hearing. We
yeah.
didn't have that.
Yes,
That's what I'm.
yeah, you did. When we originally did the grant application, when Melinda brought all of that, you opened it up for public comment. We put it in the park, master plan, it went to the park commission, everybody saw all the design. I'm not saying that we're not gonna bring it back to you, what I'm saying is if we get a whole bunch of public input, they're going to start adding things to this grant, which could cause you to lose the grant if we change it. My proposition to y'all is, once we heard the diving board, we heard that we don't want to take down the trees. The other part of it that I don't like about the grant is the complete replastering. If we had enough money, I'd really like to completely replace the pool. When we went out for bids, we were at the height of construction cost. As you can see with the hike and bike trail and some of those items, they're coming in lower than what we're bidding out. And so I'm hoping within the same type of footprint, that we're able to add some of these extra things that the community is asking for. And so when we get the package together, when we get ready to set it up to get it actually engineered out, we're going to bring that back to you. And we'll add how much it's going to cost for a diving board, how much it's going to cost to kind of scoot the pergola over, and bring that to you. And then again, you can go and during that meeting, you can ask the public for their input at the meeting. It's kind of like the Bandera Road project. When we put it on the agenda, people think it's still open for discussion, where they can move things, or we're not going to have an arc cut. The public discussion is kind of ended. The time for public discussion on the pool was before we went out for the grant. We brought it back to y'all like 3 times for y'all to pick the phase that you wanted. We brought y'all 3 or 4 options. Melinda brought you different.
4 options.
Brought you different options. We talked about it at the retreat. We talked about it at multiple council meetings. And so I just want to make sure that if we open it to the public, they're not getting the idea that they're going to be able to change the footprint by very much. And so I just want to make sure I'm not leading them down the wrong path. And so again, we'll bring it back to you to kind of make those amended changes, but anything major outside that footprint could cause us to lose the grant.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, very good. Thank you, David. Do appreciate it, unless there's any other comments from anyone in our chambers. All right, thank you so much. And I really am happy that the pool's going to be open this summer, because I think it's going to be a really hot summer. So when we have 90-degree weather in February and March, who knows what it's going to be like in the summer. Okay, moving on then to agenda item number 3.5, presentation, discussion, and direction to staff on options for amending the short-term rental regulation, if any. And this was, I put this on the agenda because I had heard from one of our residents who lives on Adair, Linda Mefford, about another short-term rental going in on the left-hand side of her house, and she has, I think, 2 on the other side. Anyway, we've been working on this short-term rental for about 5 years now, and, we started off with no regulations, and then we started adding, a registration fee, and now we've got, I don't know what that.
It's me. I have to make sure Art can speak.
Oh, okay. Oh, is Art on the line? Okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate that. Anyway, so now we have the ability, or we're starting to collect the hotel motel tax. That was the other thing. But what we've heard over all these discussions is if there's an issue on noise, trash, parking, then the residents are needing to contact the code enforcement. That's how we decided to regulate that. But I feel like it's opened up for a discussion, because the difference I thought here is I always looked at a short-term rental as just a regular house, right? 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and you rent it out. What I'm understanding from this new house, and I know it's already done, and I don't know what can be done about it, but it's been completely, and correct me if I'm wrong, Linda and Greg, but they've completely remodeled it, and it's like a dormitory, and it sleeps 16 people, and the other one sleeps 26, and I didn't know, and I think we talked about if there was some regulations on the number of people in the short-term rental, if we can regulate that, and I believe Dr. Caldera said no. But anyway, I want to honor their request to discuss it, because, I reread all of your emails again today, so yes. So anyway, it's open for discussion. I just feel like, I don't know. I know it's hard to regulate, and it's a right, and I certainly honor that. But anyway. So I'll stop at that and let Mr. Campos. That is your neighborhood,
Right.
And so
So-
better than me.
I wanted to give the counselors and the mayor some
Yeah.
context. In my neighborhood where this is happening, there's 26 homes, okay, in where we live. Right. 4 homes have been converted to very large short-term rentals. And I passed the document out here just to come and demonstrate, we've got one on Adair that has eight beds advertised for a lot of people. We have one that's right next to the Medford. This is across the street from the Medfords. And then right next door, there's another one that says now it sleeps 16 people because they put in queen-size bunk beds in there. And then on Countess Adria, we've got another short-term rental that they advertise it as sleeps 26. And then we have one further down the street on Countess Adria where it sleeps 14. So there is a lot of people coming in. They have a lot of trash cans, and it's like we're losing our neighborhood. And a lot of my neighbors have asked, well, isn't this a business? And so why is a business in a residential area? I think that's the first question that if we could get Art to kind of respond as to why can these type of activities happen in our residential neighborhood? And then what limits are we not touching and what are the risks involved? Okay?
Art, did you get that question?
Okay. I did. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, how about now?
Ay, ay, ay.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So number one, is it a business? And I can tell you what the case law on this looks at short-term rentals no differently than your right to lease your home. Okay? So by the fact that you've got a residential structure and you don't occupy it and you lease it to somebody else, is that they equate the two types of actions, okay? And so what we're looking at is in this type of scenario is not so much, are you getting paid for it? Because I think everyone would look at a residential lease as not a business because it is a property right that is secured to us by the Constitution. But they look at it as what is the use of the property, and the fact that a use, the case law has indicated that a short-term rental is consistent with the use of as a residential home. Now, that's that's where case law has come down on it here in Texas, and there's maybe two or three Supreme Court cases that have come down and said exactly that. There are other cases that are out there, and part of the problem in providing y'all strict legal advice on this is that this area is still very new and there's still a lot of litigation on it. So where the exact parameters are in what you can do and what you can't do is very difficult, if not impossible, to do at this point. The bottom line is, what risk is the city willing to take on to have its ordinance challenged? And that is really kind of what we're talking about. Is we can regulate, we can do more than what's in our current STR ordinance, but the more regulation you go, the more you're at risk of it being challenged.
So how are some other jurisdictions putting limits on the number of occupants per bedroom? In one case we have that I've heard anecdotally is Chavano Park doesn't allow any short-term rentals.
Right.
So Is it that they're willing to take the risk of being sued, or are they not, they have an ordinance, but they're just not enforcing these ordinances? This is what we need to really understand.
Yeah, I can't speak to the enforcement of it, but what I can speak to is that Chavano Park is like Leon Valley. They're a home rule municipality, and understand the first thing to understand is when y'all pass an ordinance, what you're passing is an act that is presumptively valid, okay, and it's presumptively valid until challenged. And the ban that you're talking about, Chavano Park, is been around for a while, from my understanding, and they haven't been challenged on it. Does that mean that if challenged, it would pass constitutional muster? I kind of doubt it, but I don't know. I mean, so it's like I said, because of the newness of this area, what we're really talking about is how much risk is the city willing to take in adopting more regulations. The more regulations you adopt, the more vulnerable you become to a lawsuit.
And so is it my understanding that it's correct that the city of Arlington has some very strict short-term rental ordinances that have been upheld by the courts? And or what city in that Dallas area am I referencing?
It is Arlington. And Arlington is a different case than most other STR ordinances, in that Arlington spent an incredible amount of money and time figuring out what the ill secondary effects were of STRs in a very limited portion of town. Okay, my understanding, and I'd have to go back and take a look at it, but from memory, my understanding is that the Arlington ordinance is a very concentrated area of town, does not incorporate the entirety of the community of the city, just a very small portion of the city, basically surrounding the Cowboy AT&T Stadium, and to prevent that. They spent a lot of money on studies to indicate what sort of criminal activity, what sort of calls they got, what sort of just basically ill effects there were of the STR environment in that area, and then use that as the basis of an STR ordinance. And that was upheld. Okay, so so there is a blueprint there from Arlington as to how to possibly go about it. But again, that does take time. It takes resources. It takes the ability and commitment from the city to ensure that all the parameters that they looked at were looked at in adopting an STR.
And is there any possibility of enforcement through fire codes to have so many people in a home, sleeping in a home? Is there any possibility of limiting the occupancy through the fire code?
I'll be honest with you, Councilman, without looking at the fire code, I couldn't tell you. I would assume that there are, but I'm not, off the top of my head, I don't know.
And so, Mayor, thank you for allowing me time to.
We can certainly take a look at that.
I'm trying to kind of tee up some for our neighbors, that they have some concerns that they'd like to express when the time comes.
Okay.
But Chief, I think you have some more information about fire
Thank you,
codes.
Chief. Do you have an opinion on that
There's
question?
nothing in the International Fire Code
Nothing.
to limit residential housing. It's commercial code.
Okay.
Commercial code. The only thing that touches on residences are apartment buildings, multifamily complexes, things like that. But a single-family home that's being rented or leased, there's nothing in the current International Fire Code that addresses that.
All right.
So
Thank you for that. Appreciate that, Chief. Yes, you're next. Go ahead.
Just wanted to close that I've brought up many of these things for consideration here, as well as to hear what our city attorney's advice is. And it seems like we're being told this is the way we need to enforce. And so I'm looking for maybe ideas once we open it up for comment. Maybe other people have some suggestions that we haven't thought about, but
Okay,
thank
very
you.
good. Thank you so much, Mr. Campos. Yes, Mr. Orozco.
Thank you, Mayor.
Councilor Orozco.
And Crystal, I have a couple of questions for you. But before I ask you the questions, we've been working on this for the past
5 years.
7 years. We've met about 17 times trying to get this straightened out. And I can tell you honestly, be totally transparent, I was totally against it to begin with. I did speak to some of my real estate friends, and they showed us where we can coexist and where it could be financially advantageous for everybody. And so I started having a change of thought, and we met and met and met and met, and refresh my memory, Dr. Cardetta, didn't we come up with some stringent rules and regulations to govern the metrics as far as how close somebody can open another Airbnb next to somebody? So, and we do have rules and regulations that govern if they don't comply with it as far as the trash or the overcrowding and noise ordinance. Didn't we address all those already?
Yes, so you have a couple of things. One, you do have a short-term rental ordinance, and within that short-term rental ordinance, a short-term rent or person that's renting their home as a short-term rental must register with the city. So they must get a permit that they are a short-term rental, and they have a fee that they have to pay for that. I think it's $250. And you can't be, and the reason for that is you can't be on the same block face. And we just updated that ordinance back in the late summer to define block face because there's some odd streets in Leon Valley. I think what Mr. Meffert and Ms. Meffert were discussing in their emails was looking at the complete block instead of just the block face, to limiting the restrictions to the actual block itself.
And let me stop you right there, because that's going to be one of my other questions.
Sure.
As far as one side of the block
Yeah, right.
to the other side of the block versus a cul-de-sac, and there's where my confusion came in, as far as us or anybody making sure that they comply with that ordinance that we have. I saw it be a bit gray for me, and the people that started, well, not a business, but they're at that neighborhood, are they in violation of that?
No, so all the short-term renters in that area have permits currently, and they are allowed where they sit,
And they pay their fees and everything?
their fees. So they are permitted, they're allowed there. And to answer the second part of your question, in discussions about short-term rental is that we have there's two things. One, you have other codes in place that regulate what seemed to be the concerns at the time as we've looked at short-term rentals over the years. You have a noise ordinance, you have trash in the front yard.
Parking.
You have parking. So you have all of those already regulated in other aspects of your code. You would just need a resident to call in either to the non-emergency number or to 911. Like we had a really big party in that area and they were like hanging on the roofs and parking was a situation, and they called the police department. The police department went to regulate that home. Airbnb, VRBO, and Expedia, I think, is the other one, because Bookings.com and Expedia. Well, Bookings.com is they got bought out, so they're owned by the same company. But essentially, if they violate the rules, and one of the rules on their terms is large parties, they can be removed from the platform. So that particular home at the time was removed from the platform due to them violating Airbnb rules, which was no parties. The question has come up, just like the attorney said, is we need to, in order to increase your regulation for short-term rentals, you have to have some sort of justification. And the justification has to be that the impact of the short-term rental is different than if a residential person lives there. So I'm going to take Linda Meffert's property next to her. They have a pool. Any residential home can have a pool. They have 7 umbrellas. Any residential home can have 7 umbrellas. They have 7 chairs. For large families, they can have, or 20 chairs. You can have 20, but it's not different than if you own your own home. You can have a basketball court on your property. If a resident lived there, actually owned the property, no modifications to that home that has currently been done by the short-term rental owner is different than a residential homeowner making the same modifications. Their impact has to be different than a resident living there. If a resident lived there, they could play basketball on that basketball court. They can kick a soccer ball over the fence. They can have family over and have 20-something people there. Where it comes to be a violation or where we have to have an uptick is if it's a constant impediment on that community. So they're constantly having parties and we're constantly getting calls from the police department. Just like Arlington, we would be able to log all of those calls, show that there's a justification for increased regulations, and then if you got sued, then we could go to the court and say, yes, there is an increase in calls, therefore we have justification to do that. So that's an example of what our city attorney is trying to explain is we don't really have a justification for increasing regulations. Now, does that prevent you from doing that? No, you're a home rule city, you can adopt, as Chavano Park, you can adopt a regulation, and then we can see if whether or not that regulation is challenged.
Okay.
In our original short-term rental that Nicole Warren wrote a couple of years ago, we try to regulate short-term rentals in that original ordinance as a business, requiring a certificate of occupancy, requiring fire sprinklers, requiring a whole bunch of stuff. That council at that time did not want to do that. And so we were going to make that jump to have really strict short-term rental ordinance at that time. So it's not that it can't be done. So I want to make something clear we're not saying no, you can't do it. We're saying that you can be challenged. And so that there's the difference.
And the thing with that, as far as sprinklers, New Braunfels and Bernie had that challenge, and they were comparing it to regular hotels. So I don't think it ever came to a point where they made a decision on it because of the lawsuits that were pending. And some were dropped since they didn't take any action. But one more question. The perimeters that we set in our ordinances, does that area that Ms. Merford and Mr. Campos are talking about, are they sort of like landlocked already where nobody else can get another RV in there?
I'd have to go and take a look at their map, but you could change the regulation to block instead of block face, and we can give a definition and see if it's challenged.
Yeah.
And the same rules would apply. We would do the regulations, but the current short-term rentals that are currently in place will remain. They would be grandfathered in.
Okay.
So you could accommodate in that regard and see if that would be challenged.
And my last one, I'm sorry.
No, go right
As I
ahead.
mentioned, we addressed this at least 17 times. I'm sure I lost a few follicles of hair over it. What is it exactly are we asking for in this presentation? What is it?
I'm not
was
asking
just-
for
no,
anything.
it was
The
just a
mayor
discussion.
the mayor, as a citizen concerned, the mayor brought it forth for conversation because a resident complained to her, or complained to all of y'all, to her, and she has the authority per the charter to add an item on. the
Yeah,
agenda.
absolutely. And how many complaints have there been to the police department in the past?
So we did try to look it up. It's kind of hard to say because it's not like people call in, like violation of short-term rent, they're calling in because of noise complaint, or they're calling in. We went back to look over the last few months. I don't have really any other than, not even this last one, Ms. Meffert didn't call the police. So she put a GoGov complaint in, and GoGov complaints aren't, they're code regulations. So she had an issue with the lighting in the backyard, that it was stadium lighting. That is a code violation. And so we would go and remedy that situation, which I think, from my understanding from the homeowner, that has been handled. Oh, no. Oh, okay. So, so it depends on how, if it was shining into their window, I'd have to go look at that.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where they were going with this, but I've been more than glad to listen, and if we need to address something, by all means, I'd be more than glad to listen to this.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Counselor Marsh.
I think maybe one of the things that needs reinforcing is kind of I'm going to say decision tree for lack of a better word, but for people to know what are the right ways to report these things, because it would be my guess, and it's just a guess, that most of these violations are gonna happen on a weekend, and calling code compliance or whatever isn't gonna get you anywhere because everything's closed. And, what needs to be called to the non-emergency number, what needs to
Everything
be
just call to
called?
the non-emergency number. Just call to the non-emergency number. If it's a light pollution thing, it's a light pollution thing. We'll get it on the tail end, but it's still reported. It's still marked in Bear County. If you don't want to go through code enforcement for light pollution, the big things that are going to impact people are going to be noise, parties, trash, parking is
Light.
going to be the main ones.
think
And those
light,
are
too.
those are all non-emergency calls. Call non-emergency, and then those calls get logged. And if it's one particular area, just like Art said, maybe we could do like a district in a certain area and have regulations for certain things. And we would have to look into that from a legal standpoint, or Art would, or Mr. Rodriguez would. So, that's another option for you. But you're so small, your 3.5 square miles to regulate one neighborhood and not another I think would be odd.
Okay. All righty. Linda and Greg, would y'all like to come forward? Because I know you reached out to the council and myself and had concerns over the latest short-term rental next to your house.
Hello, is this good?
Yes.
Hello.
Good evening and
Mayor,
welcome.
Council. Hi, Mom. Yeah, a lot of questions were asked about, what are we here for? I really thank you for bringing it up. Felt a lot of points that we were going to make. What are we asking for is one of the big questions that's different. We're asking for the same things that a lot of the neighbors. We're not even asking for the overall ban, Chavano Park. Funny how when we were talking about that, you had a neighbor, I was going to use that as a great example to embolden us, right? Somebody did a total ban, exactly like us, very close to us, and no lawsuits. Yet we're going to sit here and say, yeah, but they should have been sued. So we're not going to do anything? Is that where we're at? So that's the kind of example of one of the reasons that, yes, we've been up here 17 times. To say it's been addressed 17 times, with all due respect, it has not. It's been discussed 17 times. Has not been addressed. So every time we've kind of come up here, what are the excuses? Honestly, the same things we heard. Oh, we're afraid of being sued. Well, we just heard. Is that really it? We have neighbors doing it all over the place. Simple things, other things like that weren't even discussed. A simple ratio, right? A ratio of how much you can have, instead of getting exotic with blocks. So we have comps where people have done that. They weren't sued, but we're still not going to do it because we think we're going to maybe be afraid to be sued. What's the other reason? Oh, the other one, honestly, is what we heard here today. They have rights. They have the same rights. I'm sorry, I forgot to say, 40 years, Castle Estates, right? On and off. I think we have rights too. We pay taxes, we voted for everyone here, we do all these things, but we're being told, no, you don't, you have less rights than an out-of-state LLC that gives you a few $100. And with all due respect, again, on the fees, making money off of our misery does not help the cause. So I know it's been brought up a million times. I got the message that we're getting tired of bringing it up, but we're tired too. I'm tired of being on a Saturday. We talked about calling I'm supposed to call. Last weekend, I had a broken liquor bottle on the lawn. I had cigarettes on the lawn. And on a Saturday, just throwing the ball with the dog, we had to go inside because there was so much pot smoke from next door that it smoked us off our own backyard. And we have a big backyard. And I'm supposed to go full Karen all the time? Is that the answer? Is that what we're saying? Are we at the point where we're just going to say, no, an out-of-town LLC that gives us $250 a month has definitely more rights than someone that's been here for decades? That's all we're asking. At least give us the same rights.
Okay.
Thank you.
All righty. Thank you so much, Mr. Meffert. Do appreciate your comments. Anyone else like to address the council at this time? Please come forward. Okay. All right. That's all right. That's all right. Mr. Power, go ahead, and then Mr. Saucedo would be
Drew
next.
Power, City of Leon Valley. So I skimmed through, because I saw this on the agenda tonight, and it says you can only have one rental property per block facing per 200 feet. I need to go in and research what block facing means. But what got me and what stuck out is it's a 5 strike and you're out. 5 violations before you can't rent again. And the previous 4 roll off every 24 months from the date that the violation was issued. That's unacceptable to me as a citizen of Leon Valley. 3 strikes and you're off the program. And no recirculating. Now, again, depending on the violation, I get that. There's different extremes, but if you're putting the public in jeopardy, a broken bottle in somebody else's backyard, that's a health hazard. That's endangering somebody else. I want to be able to use the parking spaces in front of my house if I need to pressure wash my driveway, and if I've got a 24-member house that can have up to 24 people in there, and parking is a right-of-way on the roads, that's infringing on me. That's infringing on my taxes. I should have the right to consider that a nuisance, but it's not according to our city code. Everyone has the right to use the public right-of-ways to park. There's room for improvement here. And as far as when this all was addressed, it is my opinion that there were ulterior motives from some of the members on the council at that time to push this through. And it felt very biased. And none of them are sitting on the council now. They've made their money, they've gotten their way, and they've left the city to rot through the propositions that they push through. And that I have an issue with as well.
Okay.
Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you, Mr. Bauer. All right. Mr. Salcedo, good evening and welcome.
My name is Roger Salceda. I've lived in Leon Valley 35 years on Adair. And one of the houses that we talk about is across the street from me. And it's a pain in my butt. I've called code compliance, and imagine this. Imagine living in a lot in Leon Valley, not 3 acres, not 4 acres, a lot. And the house across the street from you holds 26 beds, 8 bedroom, 8 bath, 26 beds. So you can imagine how many people this attracts. It attracts a lot of people. Why rent a hotel when I can put 26 people in a house? And this is every weekend. Sometimes all week long. It's wrong. You can imagine when I moved in there 35 years ago. I mean, some people still had goats, And now we're having to deal with this. And every time I hear something here, I hear, oh, we're afraid to get sued, or it's time consuming, or I pay taxes like everybody else, and it seems like the Airbnbs and the short-term rentals have more rights than we do. And all we're asking is, after 7 years, is for someone to sit down and decide something. Because there's a castle on Countess Adris that's empty, that's been empty for years. And I have real estate friends that have shown it, and people don't want to buy it because it costs too much to fix. But that castle is an attraction. That's the next one.
Okay.
It's an attraction. Oh, stay in a castle.
All right. Thank you, Mr.
But it just
Salcedo.
happens that it costs too much money
Right.
to fix.
I appreciate your comments.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, ma'am.
You bet. Ms. Mefford, you're next. Yes, thank you. Yeah.
I don't start it until
No.
you start speaking.
Thank you for the opportunity to come here today. We really appreciate your service and for the opportunity to hear our voice. You've heard the quality of life. You've heard it 17 times now, and we're back here just 3 weeks into the new one next door to our home. I can't listen to the birds in the morning anymore. My Cornell University app doesn't work because of the 10 a.m. in the morning music. dozens of people out there smoking pot, I can't sit and drink my coffee. But if you don't care about my family, my neighbors, and the other people in my community, know that nationally, all of the things we talk about, the trash, the traffic, the post boxes getting knocked down, the kids crawling out of the windows, all of this national statistics will tell you this is the beginning of crime, of vacant properties. The one across the street that got kicked off of Airbnb has stood absolutely vacant. You're asking for people just come and hang out there, right? By the way, they're back on Airbnb. So what I want to say is all of these complaints, I'm not going to call the police every day. I have been terrified in my own home the past couple of weeks. I've never felt that way about Leon Valley. And you might be scared to lose some lawsuit that your city attorney is talking about, but what I want to say is that is ridiculous. I can't even believe that I'm sitting here listening to that. What we're losing right now is our community, you guys. The sense of, I know who's around me in my neighborhood. I love my neighbors. My next door neighbor has a huge party for Easter. I'm over there bringing him sugar. He's got the music up. I'm happy for him. I'm part of my community. I want to wave to the people. I want to see the people at Earthwise Living. I want them to come here and vote for you. But you know what? None of those people here. Because on Sunday night, all that trash is there, and they all roar off in the middle of the night because their plane is leaving. And what I want to say is that, like, please don't wait. Our community is slipping right out of our hands. You're losing it, and you're talking about it still, you guys. It's not something that these people are saying. This is national statistics. Many other cities in Texas have solved this problem. They haven't been sued. Don't study it. Don't keep wondering. Please take action. Get some real counsel. Get some people who understand and who have actually looked into it rather than just saying, oh, well, we don't have anything. We're losing our community, and we're depending on you to help us. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else? Okay. Mr. Hefner, good evening and welcome.
We're here again. I empathize with them efforts. I do. I don't want anybody to have to deal with parties next door to their houses, deal with problems. The challenge that I face is one of consistency. And that is, Ms. Mefford even said this past weekend, the house on the right of her house was having a big party for Easter, and she went over there and brought them sugar. Great. I have had a short-term rental in this city for 4 years. My wife and I have operated. We operate that less than a quarter of a mile as the crow flies from Ms. Mefford's house. I have never once had a neighbor have a problem. Maybe that's just me. I see this as, maybe my neighborhood just has no problems and we just have all the bad people going to Ms. Mefford's neighborhood. I'm sorry that that's happening. But the issue is one of property rights, one of equal treatment under the law, one of established case law. If it's a fear of getting sued, the courts have spoken on this. Third Court of Appeals, Zatari versus the City of Austin, told the City of Austin directly, if your concern is noise, parking, disorderly conduct, you already have ordinances to address those issues. If there are people smoking pot, drug use, to me, that's not a non-emergency issue. To me, if there's open drug use happening next door to where my kids play, I'm calling the cops, I'm calling 911, I'm asking somebody to come out and deal with it. Okay, now, the other thing I want to address is Ms. Mefford and Mr. Mefford have had problems with a number of different properties around their neighborhood. The one across the street was shut down after I gave you the advice 3 years ago that it's against Airbnb's policy, document it, report it to Airbnb, and they got delisted. We don't need a government action to disenfranchise every other citizen in our community from doing that. The people that moved in next door to the left of Ms. Mefford's property, who didn't, by the way, have a party this weekend, and when I was over there because my kids take their trash cans down my children who are trying to be entrepreneurs take their trash cans down for this property. And when they took the trash cans down, I saw one car in the driveway. And when I look at the neighborhood, I see Miss Meffert's house, and I see the house on the other side that she took some sugar to, and I've got pictures of 26 cars. So if there's an issue with cars, that's again, as Ms. Caldera mentioned, something that a resident that lives here today, that is a long-term renter or a owner, could have people over for Easter. That's an allowed thing. If there are problems, it should be in the evidentiary record. There should be citations, there should be, and complaints is one thing. I can call and make a complaint every single day. I'd like to know how many complaints have been substantiated, because I don't see that in the record.
Thank you, Mr. Hefner. Do appreciate your comments. All right. Anyone else? Okay. Very good. All right. Well, I appreciate the openness and frankness, and I'm not sure where this is going to go, but I wanted to hear from everyone that's here in the chambers. And Councilor Heil, if you'll go next. I'm sorry. He used to sit there. Yeah.
Okay, I admit I wouldn't want to live next to this and put up with what people are going through. It's ridiculous. You have no neighborhood left. I mean, you can't let kids out because you have somebody racing up and down your street, and it's wrong, and we have to do something about it. And you can't call the police every time, because if you finally throw your hat in, then what happens is the person who's looking at your house is going to see how many police calls you had, and it may prevent it from selling. And so I think we have to do something. We can't sit back and say there's nothing we can do. We have to figure out what we can do. If we get sued, we get sued. And, you know, I think we have an insurance policy, don't we, Dr. Caldera?
They don't defend when y'all have ordinance changes.
But, you know, maybe we throw the card in there and see what happens. And we take it from there, because we can't not do something. Because, I mean, I wouldn't want that next door to me. I wouldn't want it. I mean, to me, it's wrong.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Dr.
Councilor
Caldera,
Orozco.
I don't think in our ordinance, I understand Ms. Murphy and also understands Jed's complaint or reasoning. I don't think that we have in our ordinances that says that, and I'm going with this because I hate to wake up and see all that trash and garbage all over the place. I don't think we put on there that they have a certain time of length to pick up that trash. We don't. We just need to say they have to clean up after each other. If we put a time limit on it, and I'm sure that we can help with getting that cleaned up before some of our neighbors come out and see that. Or I think there's something doable. You think that, Jed? Is that if we put a time frame on it?
You have an ordinance for trash. The trash portion of it isn't regulated in your short-term rental. It's picking up on the property that they're on. They're complaining that the trash is in their yard from the short-term rental. That's a different thing. And so we would need to document that and then I'd have to be able to prove that it even came from the short-term rental.
I see.
Oh, is that what you, is that what you said?
Full compliance because the trash across the street from the 26 or the house.
Oh, Mr. Salcedo, you know, we do need to, we have to speak at the podium, and I have somebody else that wants to speak as well, so. Yeah, if you want to, come on, and then Mr. Mata, yes, you're next, but yeah, because we are recording this meeting, so we need to be able to hear you.
Yes.
So go back.
That is not a true statement. The house across the street, they have so many people that they have 4 trash cans. Okay, no recyclable trash cans, all 4 trash. They fill all 4 trash cans, plus they have bags on the ground. Okay, and Tiger will not pick up the bags on the ground. They'll only pick up the cans. So that trash sits there all week. And we have raccoons, we have squirrels, we have possums, everything. And they go into the bags and they tear, and then next thing you know, there's trash everywhere.
Gotcha. Okay.
All code compliance twice on this. Okay, so that's on record, supposedly. Okay? And it stinks. I step out of my driveway in the back to the garage because I'm on the corner, and the trash is everywhere, and the smell is terrible.
Okay,
So
I
the-
appreciate that.
So let me
Thank you.
clarify.
Okay.
When the trash is spread out, we get a call from code compliance, we notify the short-term rental or wherever the trash came from. They have X amount of days to pick up. They are allowed to put trash by their curb. They're allowed to have excess trash. It is when it gets spread onto their property, spread across the neighborhood, that it becomes an actual violation. They can have the 4 bags outside their trash can. That is part of your sanitation ordinance. The trash can smell. So there's certain things that we can't, from a government perspective, regulate. But if the trash gets strewn out everywhere,
That's what
they
he was
have,
saying.
by our trash ordinance, they have up to 10 days to clean up.
10 days,
From
okay.
my understanding is that they have complied with that, and the trash has been picked up within 10 days. So that is in your trash ordinance. Now, you can tighten up your trash regulations if somebody has drunken trash in their yards. We can take a look at tightening up those regulations if that's something you would like to consider.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Saucedo. Yes, Mr. Mata.
Yeah, Eric Mata. And I was here for those meetings, I think it was 3-4 years ago. They got fairly contentious, and honestly, this is like a broken record. We're hearing the same arguments, the same fear-mongering, and I'm not saying it could be an issue, but again, it was the same issue before. Well, why haven't you reached out to the police department? Why haven't you documented this stuff? And this is the same problem we're having now. So they're coming forward to friends of theirs. The mayor is a good friend of theirs. Mr. Campos, you're neighbors of theirs. You live there. And I understand, there's an agenda. You guys have been trying to push this forward for a while. And I know many of you guys are pro-regulation, and you don't stop to think about putting the city back in a situation where we could be facing lawsuits. Like, we had a time there that we were embroiled in litigation left and right. I don't like the idea of short-term rentals personally, but I don't think that it's okay to violate the constitutional rights of our residents here. I just don't think that that's right. So when we talk about there being case law and whether or not we're risking a lawsuit, it matters because all the taxpayers pay. I don't see people here from all over the city complaining. It's a privileged few who live on Adair who think that they're special. That's the way I look at it. It was the same way 3 years ago when they came, their arguments were hollow, and they seem to be coming from a pretty elitist standpoint. And, if you think it's okay to reach out to your friend to try to get an agenda item put on, I don't know if that's the way we want to be governing here. It just doesn't have the right smell to me. But again, there are avenues to deal with this as there was last time, and they know that. They just want their way. That's the way I see it. There's no one else complaining in the city but just this couple who live in Adair and some of their neighbors. So think about the ramifications of the city at whole, not just your friends, not just the people who you rub shoulders with. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
You just called me,
Okay, all right. I tell you, we're kind of, yeah. Mr. Bradshaw has not said anything, but I did give Mr. Saucedo another shot at something. So, and again, I just want to say, I don't care who, I would respond to any citizen who came to me with a concern. Whether they're my friend, my enemy, whatever, I'll put it on the agenda for discussion because that's what we're here for. We're here to serve the people. So I do want to clarify that. It's, Mr. Bradshaw, good evening and
Thank you,
welcome.
Mayor.
Go ahead.
Will Bradshaw,
Mhm.
Monte Robles. Yeah, as it's been said, this has kind of been talked about ad nauseum, and I just had a couple other points because we always, we're just talking about all the negatives, all the bad, renters that smoke weed and everything like that. And the thing is, if it wasn't Airbnb people, guess what? There's other neighbors that are either more than 50% of Leon Valley is rentals, like not home owned, right? They're rental properties, long-term rentals, short-term rental, whatever. So you could have renters next to you, long-term renters that smoke weed, and you're gonna deal with it, or you can call the police. But the other thing is the economic impact. We didn't talk about the hot taxes that are being brought in. Crystal, do we know what?
It roughly running between 30 to 40,000 a year.
30 to 40,000 a year. Okay, according to some data online, City of Leon Valley hot tax is collecting over $100,000 of hot taxes. Maybe not what you're seeing yet, but looks like
Well,
it's,
we have in-town suites, and you have, it's not Eco Lodge anymore, it's Express Inn, also fall into those categories
so
as well.
they also, okay. So combined. That's a good point. And then the visitors to Leon Valley in a year, 120,000 plus visitors, averaging $35 per visit spent in the city, or in around the city, $1.71 million in revenue, or in spend, sorry. So that's other positive things that come to the city from short-term rentals. And I just would point out, Councilor Heil, that, yes, we could test it, the city could test it and say, you know what, see if we get sued. But that is against what you guys swore an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution, which there's constitutional rights. So if you make a law that violates the Constitution and then you get sued over it, and you lose, then you didn't really uphold the Constitution. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So, yes, Councilor Heil.
There are many people who have the Airbnbs next door to them on Stirrup Circle on my street. They've had, I was talking to those people this weekend, and they were saying that they have these two pods that are in the driveway that have been there over a year, and they can't even see their neighbor anymore. And they said, what can we do about it? I reported it to Crystal. As it turns out, these people never got any kind of permit for those pods. So they've been sitting there for a year. And that house, it has a hot tub on it. I mean, it's terrible. And they are so unhappy. They said they've lived there 40 years. And, that's what they have to live with now. And what's bad is out of the one house, the minute you walk out the front door, there's the pod. And it's probably, that driveway next to him is maybe 6 or 8 feet. And he said, that's what I see every day. He said, we've had it. So it is frustrating, and I had no answers for him, which was sad.
Okay. All right. Yes, Councilor Marsh.
I would just recommend that maybe we do look at some of these other ordinances that are indirectly violated by short-term rental people, particularly in these large homes. For me, and I have some neighbors that they put trash and it falls out and the cats get into it and it's all over my yard every morning. To me, 10 days to pick up trash is totally unacceptable. It should be hours. And, I think we need to look at the time we give people to comply based on what the issue is. If we give them 10 days to cut, a dead tree or limbs or something, that may be reasonable. But to pick up trash 10 days, that's totally unacceptable. So maybe we need to start looking at some of these other ordinances and what is really permissible in a reasonable society, whether it's a short-term rental problem or a permanent owner that's causing this. We need to have some quicker turnaround. And I know I've been frustrated when I turn in a code violation and they actually come out and tell me, no, there's no violation, when I can, clearly see the violation. So I think we need to look at some of the other things that maybe can help us control some of the bad outcomes that we're seeing.
Okay. Thank you for those comments. Yes, Councilor
And I
Roscoe.
don't know about other things, but specifically as far as the trash, because it's just not the Airbnbs that are doing that. I live in an HOA, and we have that problem as well. If we can address that issue again and try to come to a meeting where we can coexist, and being the trash as being one of them. And like I said, it's just not the Airbnbs, but also in my neighborhood. And we're pretty stringent sometimes about that, but it still happens. So if that can help with that, I'd be more than glad to address that.
Okay. All right. So,
All right, so all I'm hearing so far is direction is looking at the trash ordinance. I mean, I just need direction on what y'all want me to bring back, if at all. If you want to bring back more discussion on it, I just need to know what y'all would like from staff.
I think it's
Go
going to
ahead,
be
Counselor.
more than that. I think it's going to be not only the trash, but the noise, like, I don't know what the light standards are for
So
light
some of
pollution.
this is regulated by state law, so I need to confer with Art, like trash, graffiti, some of that stuff is regulated by the state law, and there are minimum requirements of timeframes. I just don't know them off the top of my head or to speak on them. But whatever ordinances y'all would like me to take a look at or address, we can certainly do that.
Okay.
I just want y'all to know that too. I want to put that on the record as well.
Okay. Anyone else? I know, I think we talked about block versus block face. I mean, maybe clarifying that, I don't know, but,
So y'all have block face. Do y'all want me to look at a block
I mean,
regulation?
I thought block face would, like, one per block, but it ended up, no, it's not like that
face
at
per the
all.
block.
So that
It's one on
was a, yeah, this all new.
Well, what I had proposed was a radius. If, you remember I brought that forward, a 300-foot radius from current, and we were advised, that was too far, and so we left it at 200 feet. So maybe we ought to reconsider that.
Was that from the attorney, Counselor?
All right. So I would say,
More discussion. I mean, I'm not hearing any consistency. I just need to know what to do. So do you want me to bring back at the next meeting the short-term rental ordinance again with what? Block? An increased radius?
yes, Counselor Marsh.
I do think we need to look at the block versus block face versus radius, especially in some areas where you have cul-de-sacs and you have odd-shaped streets that doesn't fit the nice square block and block face, because it doesn't make sense that you can only have one, 2 houses down, but it can be right across the street from you and right in back of you, and pretty much you're surrounded. So I think we need to try and look at that again. I also think we need to look at the trash ordinance. And also, if it's a Tiger issue, because if they have 4 trash cans, does that mean that they get 4 extra bags for every trash can that they're getting from Tiger? And if not, it's 4. And if not, why is Tiger not picking up the bag trash? Or are there specifications of how the trash needs to be bagged? Or maybe we could put something in there in terms of the number of trash receptacles they have to rent from Tiger based on the number of beds or people that they advertise that they can take, to try and make sure that they have the accommodations to put the trash in the right trash thing, to get it picked up promptly, and, that kind of thing. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Wasn't the ordinance drafted by an attorney already, as far as?
You've had several, yes. So the current ordinance that you have was drafted by Art, but it's been amended many times over the course of the last 4 or 5 years. But whatever y'all want to take a look at, we can certainly take a look at. It sounds like trash is the big one, so we can bring back the trash ordinance. And then I can bring back the short-term rental ordinance to include block radius, increasing the radius, and from 200 to 300 feet.
Yeah, Counselor Marsh.
And do we need to look at parking in terms of making a requirement that there has to be qualified parking for the number of beds on the premises or something?
No. So parking is a little bit different because it's handled under your transportation code. So as long as they are legally parked in a public street or on the driveway, as long as they're not parked on a yard, then it's handled under the transportation code. The one I'm just not sure of is the trash, because I do think trash is held under state code, and I do think that there's a minimum number of days. I just don't know what that is. But I can certainly call Tiger and ask for that particular address, why they're not picking up the extra bags. But I can bring back the trash ordinance. We can definitely have a conversation about that. And then I can bring back the because it's 2 separate ordinances. Bring back, because you want to keep everything in one umbrella, because you don't have to go to 4
No, we don't want to
sections of it.
reinvent the wheel. We've gone through this, like I said, I know Murphy said that they have not been here 17, we have. You know, and I didn't mean you guys, I'm sorry. I meant that we've been addressed this 17 times, but if there's room for improvement, you know, we can look at it. But I don't want to feel that we have to reinvent what we've been doing for the past 5, 6 years. And if we need to nudge something here and there, you know, that's fine. But we paid attorney fees, we paid everybody to try to look at this and give us the laws that regulate the Airbnbs. And we have to abide by the state law and our laws as well. So I don't know. It's not that I don't want to address the issues that are problems right now. We will address them. It's just that, like the parking, we addressed that already. The attorney put the verbiage on there that needed to be put on there. So, I mean, if whatever the council wants, you want to go through it with a fine tooth comb, you know, I'm retired now, I can go through it, but, you know, I don't mind doing it, but I just don't feel that we need to reinvent the wheel.
Yes, Counselor Heil.
Maybe instead of doing 1 or 2 things right now, we have the retreat coming up for the council. Maybe we put a list together of what everybody wants to look at, and that way then
Okay, all right.
it'll be everything at once, not one thing here, one thing next week.
That's completely at your all's discretion.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll give her a list.
Okay, so the direction now is we're going to wait for the retreat, and y'all are going to give me information.
When's the retreat, in May?
So I was going to make that announcement. It looks like everybody's available June the 6th.
Okay, let's do that then. Let's go ahead and we can discuss it in length then.
Okay, however y'all want to do it.
I just want to make sure there's consensus that we're going to wait till June 6th. Yes, okay.
Okay. But I'm 100% sure that no one here is for a ban, right? It's just for looking at the regulations, because it is on the books that you can have the short-term rental. So I just want to be sure that we're clear on that, okay? Because that's not the purpose. The purpose is to tweak it and make it better so that the quality of life in your neighborhood is preserved. So, yes.
Well, I kind of want Dr. Caldera to bring some of these ordinance to us at the retreat so that we're not just starting to make a list and then it's going to be, I mean, if it's not until June, then it's going to be later than that before we take any action.
No, if you just send me an email, because we'll get ready, that was on my agenda when we got to the city manager's report, is now short-term rentals will be on that agenda. If you could just send me your topics and or information that you would like to see, because then I can also prep Art. So I can send him, like if y'all want the trash ordinance, I can get his, legal opinion in writing for y'all to review at the retreat or even before the retreat. And so, so any of those topics, because that's what I was going to ask for under my city manager's reports, were topics for the retreat, just to email them to me. So anything you have, just email it to me sooner rather than later, because that date will come fairly quickly. And then I can send them to Art for him to review.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right. I think we're finished for right now. I'm sorry? Well, I mean, if the council wants to go hear from the people a second time around, Mr. Sada had a clarification because he was saying that he did not get response from his code complaints, so I let him clarify that. So if there's, if the council wants to hear from the other round 2, we can do it. Y'all just let me know. I'd be glad to. So that would be Mr. Meffert and Mr. Hefner. Three minutes. Okay, all right. Let's do it. That's fine.
I did want to point out the one other thing that wasn't being discussed was a simple ratio. A lot of people have embraced the 17% ratio because we've seen the radius and whatever. We're one house away from being surrounded on all sides, so clearly that's not working. And the other thing I wanted to address was I felt like there was a lot of people just saying, hey, it's on you, be the cop. I'm supposed to call the cop, and by the way, it was 2 weeks ago. If you picked up the trash 2 weeks ago at our house, you would have gotten high. But if I'm supposed to call, do we really want us, is that what it is? I just want to make it clear. I'm supposed to call the cops, for everything like that. Just be aware, it's not that easy. When they were doing that and they were smoking dope, and Linda actually was going to call the cops, I'll be honest, I told her not to. Because why? These people, I'm ruining their party. God knows how mad they're going to be at me. They have no worry about retribution because they're gone tomorrow. So they can slash my tires or do whatever they want to do to me. And then I got to wait. And then next weekend, it goes all over again. So I just want to be clear. Telling me to just call the cops on the regulations and having me call the compliance for every beer bottle and everything, it's just not realistic.
But what I heard the city manager say is that you need a record, right?
Well, and it's not just me. I mean, it's your
But I
city
mean,
attorney. It's
if
saying
we're-
you need justification in order
Yeah,
to increase the
exactly. So
regulation.
you need that record
If we're going to do that,
to
then
show.
very quickly, because I know I'm running out of time, a simple ratio, a lot of people have embraced that. A second thing they've done is they've made it very stringent on the renewal so that it wasn't necessarily easy to get grandfathered in. It gave them 30 days tight, if they missed it. And another thing was a pretty decent requirement for insurance for them to have. So if they throw a beer bottle at my car or whatever it is, but putting some things in place to force a little bit more responsibility, because frankly, a party house is going to be partying a lot more than some dude smoking dope that's renting a long-term rental. It's just not the same. It's a disingenuous comparison. So I just wanted to be clear. Ratios, the 30-day on the renewal, and insurance, tighter insurance, is something that a lot of cities have done to great success. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Hefner, you're next.
I do empathize. I want to speak to the things Mr. Mefford spoke to. Insurance-wise, it's an industry standard, have over $1 million in insurance for short-term rentals. Like, it's there. It doesn't need a government action in order to enforce that. That's there because the industry says it's needed, and it's there for a reason. Whether it is a radius of 200 feet or 300 feet, whether it's a ratio, whether it's a block face, any of that doesn't really matter. And what I would remind this council is the experience we've had on Bandera Road of monument signs, right? When you have property rights, there's a concept in property law called retroactivity. You have retroactive and settled property rights from the time I purchased that property. Each of you have the right today to operate a short-term rental if you want to. You have that right. When you impose an ordinance, again, whether it's a radius, a block face, a ratio, whatever that is, you cannot retroactively apply that law to someone who's already there. So what we're really talking about, just as on Bandera Road, when we talk about in order to get Arby's to change their sign to a monument sign, you've got to wait for that business to leave and a new business to come in or someone to do a massive remodel. And so you're literally talking about the same thing. You're going to have to wait, no matter what this council decides to pass. You're going to have to wait for that to be effective until people sell their homes. The properties that are there, as long as they are owned, they have the same property rights they had the day they bought the house. Now, I want to find common ground because trash, I'm 100% with you. I live next door to Marshall High School. Every single day. Every single time it rains, I have trash come from Marshall High School. They don't have enough trash cans, apparently, or the students don't put things in. And water flows down next to my home and carries with it a mountain of trash. My solution, my wife and I go out in our neighborhood and walk, and we pick up trash. Do I complain to this council? Do I ask our already strained police force to come out with code compliance? Do I come and gripe about it to my neighbors? No. I pick up a trash bag, and I do what a good citizen does. If I have a problem, a concern with my neighbor, I go and I have a conversation with my neighbor. And I say, how can we come to this? I operate a short-term rental. I am a father and a husband. I have 5 children, 2 biological children and 3 biological children and 2 foster children. And we're making a living. This is how we feed our family. The family that lives next door to the Meffords, yes, they live in New York. And it's been stated they're an out-of-state LLC. They're a husband and a wife, a father and a mother. They have a 2-year-old and a baby on the way, and they're simply trying to make a living for their family. I don't think that's unreasonable.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, is that it for the people that wanted to say something? Okay, well, thank you, I appreciate it, and we'll move on to the next agenda item then. Thank you all for coming. Yes?
Mayor, can I
Yes,
make-
did you have something else?
No, not on this topic. For the next items, can we move to the regular agenda 7.1 and
Sure.
7.2?
Sure.
So we can conduct, I think this is something
The
that's pretty routine.
SUPs? Okay,
Yes.
sure. If that's amenable to my colleagues, let's go ahead and move that up. Then, as per the recommendation of Councilor Campos, we'll move to regular agenda item 7.1, presentation, public hearing, and discussion to consider an ordinance on a specific use permit request to allow a medical spa offering advanced aesthetic treatments in a B2 retail district on approximately 3.38 acre tract of land located at 6521 Bandera Road, and more specifically described as CB 9925A, Block 7, Lot 9 and 10. This is our first read as required by the city charter, so we won't have a vote tonight, and then we can decide where we want to place it for the next agenda. And we have Mr. Gallardo, our Planning and Zoning Director, here this evening to present. Thank you and welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, Council.
Yes, good evening.
So we're looking at a specific use request for Sapphire Radiance and Aesthetics. So the question before City Council is to consider an ordinance for a specific use permit request to allow a medical spa offering advanced aesthetic treatments in a B2 retail zoning district on approximately 3.38 acres of land located at 6521 Bandera Road. So obviously your options are to approve, deny, or other. So staff declares that the SUP is compatible with the surrounding zoning. So again, the property is zone B2. The applicant specializes in advanced cosmetic, injectables, and wellness treatments. The property holds similar businesses that promote goods and services which are appropriate for that zoned area. So pursuant to the permitted use table, because they are B2, they do require a specific use permit, and thus far we're bringing that before council. Secondly, the property does abut a residential area in the back. So another reason why an SUP is required. So this is where the property is located. You'll see that it's on the Bandera Road. It's the Seneca Plaza retail strip. There's an aerial view of that. If you look at the property right around where I have my pointer, that's basically where their suite's going to be located at.
Oh, okay. Over there, okay.
Any questions thus far?
Okay, I thought it was where the red dot was, but it's
No,
further down, okay.
Yeah,
Thank
that's why
you.
I pointed that out.
Okay, appreciate the clarification.
All right, so some of the zoning that surrounds the property, on the north and east side, it's going to be single-family dwellings. On the west and south side, it's going to be B2 retail district. So pursuant to the master plan, Bandera Road South Corridor is comprised of retail and commercial users on developed lots. So again, it's compatible in the sense that as long as the applicant maintains the minimum setbacks and separation requirements from adjacent residential uses. So one of the things that, makes this pretty smooth as far as conforming to what's out there is that the structure already complies with our code. It's an existing structure which they are just going to basically remodel. So as long as they get permits for that, we should be good. But I will speak to the building permit portion of it. Currently, the tenant is just basically doing cosmetic work, so there's most likely not going to be a permit needed.
Okay.
So we send out 23 notification letters. All of them were delivered, apparently, and no response. Fiscal impact. The applicants paid all the associated fees with the processing of the specific use permit request. The development will increase ad valorem property taxes.
Okay. Very good, thank you. All right, are there any questions or comments from my colleagues before we open up to public hearing?
Yes, sir.
Councilor Campos.
I just wanted to express to my colleagues that I was at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. I've reviewed all the documents. I didn't have any questions. It was a pretty simple situation, and, for future consideration, maybe like something like this doesn't even need a SUP, that it could be, that decision could be made at the staff level. But
The way your ordinance is written, it does require an SUP.
Because it's the neighborhood.
Because it's the way it's adjacent to, and that's just, for planning and zoning, consistency matters, and so we try really hard to continue with the same type of consistency when applying the rules and regulations for an SUP. We had something similar, I think the Seven Brew, we have gone back and forth with the SUP on that too, because technically it was residential, but it's because the whole property, the back part of that whole property touched residential. So those do come up on occasion, but we can't just say you're okay without going through the SUP process.
Okay, just seems like a necessary step. All of our commercial property, almost every piece of it.
Yes.
Backs up into a residential area.
Y'all
This
will
is-
be reviewing, I'm sorry to cut you off, y'all will be reviewing the permitted use table. And you can remove SUP requirements from some of the uses if y'all so choose during that timeframe.
That's what I meant. I knew that update is coming to us, and so.
That's on April
Right.
28th.
Right, so
Yeah.
maybe that's something
Not
that we
April,
can
yeah,
talk
April
about at
28th.
that.
That's
time.
definitely a forum that we can address that at.
Right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
For sure.
Yes, Councilor Marsh.
So can I ask for clarification? Is there an existing business there that's just doing cosmetic work, and it's the fact that they're now going to do advanced aesthetics with injectables that's causing this, or it doesn't exist at all at that spot?
So there's actually, like, I guess what you would call like a beauty salon in that retail strip. Theirs is a little bit different and more advanced in that your state law requires that they have someone that's a professional. So the applicants here, if you have additional questions, but I'll just kind of skim through it real quick. So Ms. Zamora is actually a registered nurse. And the difference is with intradermal cosmetics, which is already on our permitted use table, this is a little bit more advanced in that, for example, Botox. So when you administer Botox, it's actually like a prescription. So someone with that kind of background has to be the one facilitating that, right? So so again, having said that, the state regulates that. So the way we safeguard that for the city is that when they apply for their certificate of occupancy, we'll ask for her license, right? Which I've already done the background, and I've already looked it up, and she actually has registered nurses are issued a number, so she's already we verified that. However, she'll upload that information to us when we do our certificate of occupancy. Having said that, anything beyond that is going to be state regulated. So for example, like the medical devices, our health inspector's not going to go and look at that, but they will have that looked at by Texas Department of State Health Services. They'll actually administer that, and they'll actually follow up. So the city does have, some leeway as far as like safeguarding ourselves, which we would have them, again, upload her credentials. We do that like if you open in a dentist office. We do that when you're an attorney and you want to lease out space here in Leon Valley. So it's similar to that, but beyond that, like I said, the state regulates that.
Thank you.
Okay, yes, Councilor
Thank you,
Velasco.
Michael. So do they need a Texas certified certificate to work there? And I know what the aesthetic treatments has been, but when it says it's advanced, I know what a Botox, not that I need it right now, but what is it advanced from the regular Botox that we're seeing or have seen before? Why is it advanced? What is it so spectacular about it?
And I'll let them speak to that, but
Okay.
I guess the separation is that it's not like your regular, intradermal cosmetic like eyeliner, and when they have their eyebrows tattooed, it's a little bit more. It's a little bit more sophisticated in that there's some aesthetics there where a trained professional has to.
Okay, let me listen
conduct
to
it.
him.
Yes. Thank you. If you'll please state your name and where you reside, and welcome.
Yes, hello, Council. This is, my name is Jorge Zamora. I'm the practice manager of my sister and my cousin. They're the owners.
Hi.
So for and we live right outside Leon Valley there
Okay.
on Callahan and Bandera next to Powell Elementary.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
So the advanced aesthetics portion, that's actually the confusing part because that's something that's required by the city ordinance that defines that. The advanced is, I mean, just like the dermal fillers, Botox, I mean, just like any injection, it's subcutaneous. Yeah, it's not very deep, but she does have her nursing license and works at Methodist Hospital. We do have our general liability and malpractice insurance. We have a medical director that oversees the pharmaceutical, the good faith exams and does the prescriptions that are sent out through a certified pharmacist or pharmacy. So, yeah, oh, and the medical waste is getting collected by a company, so it's not just dumped into a regular trash cans.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Anyone else? Okay, thank you. Mr. Zamora, appreciate those, that clarification. So we do have a public hearing, and I'm going to open up the public hearing at 8:10 on April the 7th, and wanting to see if there's any input from any of our participants in the chambers on this issue. Yay, nay, whatever. Okay. A lot of times we don't get a lot of input on our public hearing, but we still open it because it's required. Okay, if there's no comment on this SUP, then I will close the public hearing at 8:10, and we are not allowed to make a vote because we have a two-read policy as per our charter. So the next meeting will be April 21st. And so what is the pleasure of the council?
Consent agenda?
Yes.
I'd like to recommend that it be put on the consent agenda.
Okay, very
I
good.
second that.
All right, very good. So we have consensus that we'll place it on the consent agenda, which means that it will be approved without objection, basically, but not until the next meeting, which is April 21st. So thank you all very much, and welcome to Leon Valley. Okay, thank you. You bet. Yes, and good luck. You bet. All right, very good. Thank you. So we'll move to regular agenda item 7.2, discussion, public hearing, and discussion to consider an ordinance on a specific use permit request to allow an auto accessories sales and installation business in a B2 retail district on approximately 0.89 acre tract of land located at 6505 Grissom Road, and more specifically described as CB 5784A, Block Lot 60, Leon Valley Edition. And this is our first read as required by the city charter. And we have our planning and zoning director, Mr. Gallardo, here to present. And
ma'am.
welcome
So,
back. Thank you.
Another specific use request. City Council is being asked to consider an ordinance for a specific use permit request to allow auto accessory retail sales with installation in a B2 retail zoning district on approximately 0.89 acres of land located at 6505 Grissom Road. So again, your options being to approve, deny, or other. Staff declares that the SUP is compatible with the surrounding zoning. Property again is Zone B2. The applicant will provide retail sales of auto accessories, but it does include installation. The property is surrounded by similar businesses that promote goods and services which are appropriate for the surrounding districts. So pursuant to our permitted use table, because it's zoned as B2 and they're selling auto accessories, the facet here being that they're going to provide installation, it does have to come before City Council. So here's the location of the property. It's off of Grissom Road. If any of you all are familiar with that, you may have a better concept of what that is there. So that building there is currently a church. If you look to the top of the screen, that what looks like a parking lot, that's your food truck park. So it's a new owner, and so he's going to utilize the property in a different manner. So I just wanted to throw that out there real quick.
Okay.
All right, so right now, on the north side, the property is surrounded by a PDD, which, is off Sawyer, which is actually a development that's probably going to come before you pretty soon again. But on the west side, it's a commercial district. On the east and south side, it's B2 retail district. So again, the Bandera Road South Corridor is comprised of retail and commercial users of developed lots. Again, this is already an existing entity or building and property, right? Request is compatible with the city's master plan as long as the applicant maintains the minimum setbacks and separation requirements from adjacent residential uses, which really is not applicable here because, again, it is an existing structure. So because it is an existing structure, it does comply with code requirements right now. Again, a building permit is going to be required for this particular project because they do plan to do some extensive remodeling. We send out 10 notification letters, got no response for yes or no, and all of them were delivered. None of them were returned. Fiscal impact, the applicants paid all the associated fees with the processing of the specific use permit request. The development will increase ad valorem property taxes. No questions thus far?
Okay, I had a question. Will we have sales tax on the sales of the accessories?
Yes, we will.
Okay.
And
It just usually will say we have sales tax, so I didn't
Then
know.
if you have any more detailed questions, we do
Okay.
have a representative for the.
And if the applicant, you would introduce him and then we'll say good evening.
Yes, this is
And
Mr.
welcome.
Merrick.
Yes, come on up. We don't bite. How are you and what is your name and where do you live?
Eric Sichinski. I am a general contractor. I'm representing the owner.
Oh, okay.
I am
You're
the
not-
one who is doing the application
Okay.
and trying to get this all approved.
Okay, and I'm
So-
sorry, would you repeat your name just so we can make
Marek
sure?
Sichinski.
I'm sorry?
Marek
Merrick?
Sichinski.
Okay, we're going to have to, we'll write it down, so just so for the record, but Merrick is the first name. Okay, thank you. And what would you like to add to the conversation?
I would like to add that none of this business will be outside.
Okay.
So we're going to do the remodeling, and half of the building is we're going to open for the installation of the car stereo and car alarms.
Okay.
They're going to be doing everything on the inside, so there'll be no cars or
On the outside?
on the outside.
Okay.
So our zoning not allows right now for installation. So this is why we.
Okay, all right, very good. Thank you, I appreciate it. Any other questions, comments? Did you have something, Ms.
So I
Councilor Murphy?
appreciate
and
you
then Councilor
answering my
Campos?
question, most of it before I asked it. But will the entrance of the cars to the inside installation area be on the end of the building or behind the
On
building?
the end of the building, yes.
On the end of the building?
Correct. That's why those food trucks actually gonna have to go.
Oh, the food trucks will go? Okay. And so are there any other plans for the additional land that the food trucks are on?
Not at this time.
Not at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Councilor Campos.
I was going to add what you were going to be doing, and so their concept, if you look at the screen there, on the corner at the top.
It's the food trucks.
Closest to where the food trucks are, they're going to open that side of the building, and they're going to do all their installations inside the building. And so the residents shouldn't be impacted by any noise that's happening with the installation. Is that correct?
Correct. So half of the building is gonna have an installation,
Mm-hmm.
and the other half of the building is gonna be a showroom and a waiting area for the customers.
Okay, very good. All right, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, so we do have a public hearing.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you. And we'll open it at 8:18 on Tuesday, April the 7th, and stand in line for any comments that we have from our chambers. And seeing no one, then we'll close the public hearing at 8:18 on the 7th of April and ask the pleasure of the council on the next agenda.
I'd like to recommend that this be placed on the consent
right.
agenda.
All right, is that consensus from the council? All right, so then we will place this, we were not able to vote on it this evening, but on April 21st, we'll put it in the consent agenda and it will be approved. So thank you so much. Do appreciate you being here this evening. Okay, so, thank you, Mr. Gallardo, we appreciate it. So,
Mayor, I would like to go back to presentations and leave Mr. RC's to the end, the development
yes,
agreement. to the-
that's what I was
Okay.
going to ask the council, what their pleasure was. So, everybody, go back to presentation 3.6. Let me read that. Presentation, discussion, and possible action on proposed capital plans FY 2027. We have Dr. Caldera, who will be presenting this evening. Thank you and welcome. Or should say, welcome back.
Welcome back. Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Yes,
And as you can see, all of my directors stayed this evening, or the majority of them stayed this evening, as we're going to
I
move through
was
the Capitol.
wondering why everybody was here. Okay.
Yeah,
very good.
well, they
Thank
just
you.
wanted to hear all the great stuff that's going on.
Okay.
I also would like to introduce you haven't voted yet. She's on your consent agenda this evening, but Sarah Wopel, did I pronounce your last name?
Yes, hi,
Sarah's
Sarah.
here this evening too. She's
Yes,
the
we're glad you're here.
secretary.
Thank you. All right.
Okay, so I'm going to get started on your capital plan. Again, guys, this is just the first kind of meeting, discussion, so I can kind of get some thoughts on what y'all are thinking. We will see this plan about 100 times between now and the end of the summer. Let me get my pen. Sorry. And so we will move through rather quickly. So this is a summary of the general fund. And if you remember, during our audit, you had about $8 million left over. After that $8 million in your reserve fund, and this year, y'all had capital expenses. And so what you're actually getting started off with this fiscal year is $6.3 million. The unaudited, unassigned, if you were to spend everything in FY 26-27 would be $5 million. This $275,000 is $200,000 is geared towards your pool, and the other $75,000 were for the fire department breathing equipment, and you'll see that as we move through. Your economic development is also housed in your general fund. You do have a current balance of $964,000. If you spent everything in 26-27, you'd be left with $524. Tree mitigation funds is sitting at $668. If you spent everything, it would go down to $488. We'll get in a little bit more detail as we move through. So in your general fund, you house IT. We're proposing next year for the time clock system, and that was what is the clock in, clock out system that we've brought up a couple of times, and it's split between your general fund and two other funds, and we'll kind of go through what those funds are. But that would be trying to automate your payroll system. Your police department for next year, I have your gym equipment. We're trying to replace one piece of gym equipment each year. The next one are property room plans. And so as part of the town hall meeting discussion, police department property rooms seem to be one of the number one concerns that raised to the top of the list from the citizens. Yes, it was a very small number. We will, at the next council meeting, be discussing a survey that I've already sent out to y'all as part of my city manager's update last Friday. And so maybe that priority will change. But as of right now, I went ahead and budgeted $500,000 for engineering and plans for the police room, property room. You'll see $300,000 here. And as we move through the rest of the PowerPoint, you'll see that I have some in traffic safety and some in other funds as well.
So you're going to put the property room back on the survey then? Is that what I'm?
Well, I mean, I don't have it on the survey. I think I have police on, like I did in general term. I tried to do it like Bear County did.
Okay.
And just kind of
But not
rank them that way.
specifically.
Not,
Okay.
I didn't do specific project. If y'all want to, that's up for discussion next
when
council
we-
meeting,
okay,
whatever y'all
that's
want.
good.
I gave y'all a draft survey. I just put something together for y'all to work off of, and I'm asking for y'all's input. I gave it to y'all early, so that would give you almost a month to go over that, do your research. I attached Bear County survey as well as the city of San Antonio. So whatever feedback you have with that survey, whatever changes you would like to add to that, we're open to that, absolutely.
No, but that'll be at the next city
Yes,
council, so
ma'am.
okay, I won't,
But
because
for right now, based on what
specifics.
yeah. So so based on what I have currently on the citizens' concerns from the town hall meeting and the online survey, the police property rooms did rise to the top as far as being a priority. And so I budgeted 500,000 for the, you'll see 500,000 for the police property rooms, and I also budgeted 500,000 for the public works building, and they're all split up among departments. But 300,000 for the police property room sits in your general fund for engineering and plans. Your impound lot, we don't have any capital budgeted for next year. We do have 10,000 for seal coating the parking lot in 28, 29. Fire department, we're looking at a stretcher, rescue airbags, thermal imaging camera. The Extron server needs to be replaced. The ambulance, now remember, 200,000.
Already set aside.
Set aside, and we're, in order to purchase the ambulance, we're giving them like a down payment of the 200,000. The other 250 upon delivery will come out next year because it takes a little over a year to purchase an ambulance. And so the council had the foresight to budget this year in order for us to do the purchase, and then the rest of it is budgeted next year. And a support truck for next year at $100,000. And then if you move through, remember, this is your 10-year capital plan. So this spends down your reserve fund over 10 years. I'm focusing on 26, 27, but I'm going to ask you to do a little bit of homework and to kind of go through your 10-year plan. We'll have another extensive conversation probably before the retreat one more time, so y'all can look at what's in your 10-year plan to see if you want to continue to have those items in your plan or not.
Would you define what a support truck is?
So it is either your assistant chief's truck or the deputy fire marshal's
Okay.
truck.
All right. Wasn't sure.
Could I-
Yes, Counselor Campos, go ahead. Yes, and if y'all have questions, just raise your hand and I'll address it now.
I've noticed that here, we're budgeting 20, on the 26, 27, the remaining 250 for the ambulance, 200 in the prior year. But I'm wondering whether or not we should do in 27, 28, another 200,000 set aside. So, because it's all coming out in 28, 29, and then again in 30, 31. I just want to be proactive on it to make sure that, we have some money set aside in our reserve that's tapped toward a new ambulance that we're definitely, will be needing.
24 months, okay. So, so he just whispered in my ear, it's taking about 24 months on the ambulance and on the fire truck. So-
No doubt. And I just want to make sure that, this strategy that we had, that we allocated 200 for that down payment, okay, that we could then place the order and then wait that 24 months so that we can then pay off.
Yes. So
Okay.
I have to figure out, me and Carol had this discussion because we put 250 here, and as we go through, you'll see the pool and the SCABE equipment, but all of that money is in the assigned fund. And so I'm trying to figure out how to I'm either going to have to split it 3 ways or budget it all for when it's due, and then on the unassigned version of your budget, put it there, but we'll figure out a way to do that.
And maybe it's $100,000,
Yes,
a year.
Okay. So let me get with Carol on the way we'll illustrate that, but absolutely, we can certainly do that. Okay, so that's your fire department. We move on to your public works department. It will be an F-150 pickup truck that needs to be replaced, a 2013, a Ford F-150, 2012 that needs to be replaced. And then here is half of the public works plans and engineering for the public works building. I put 250,000 here. I put 200,000 in economic and community development funds. And I think I put a little bit in your water fund. Your comprehensive master plan, it's just in there for your 10-year at 3536. Y'all are doing that this year. Y'all will be updating that. It wouldn't be scheduled to come up again until 3536.
Yes, Counselor Campos. Go right ahead.
Could we come up with like a key? Because I was asking in some of the questions, I didn't see the money for the property room. I understand now that it's in different places.
Yeah,
But
right.
you know, at first, and even I'm reading your notes here, I'm saying 500,000's in next year, and I'm there looking, and I said, man, I can't get this math to work.
Yeah.
But I understand now, as you explained it, it's in different funds.
Correct.
So is there a way that we can come up with a key and saying, okay, for this
Or
is
an
being funded by
asterisk or
X,
something.
X, X?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I give presentations, I'm not putting verbatim, I'm giving you the information while I'm here. And so especially for this first presentation, when we start opening up the discussions to even see if you even want it on here. As we move forward, we'll send you a spreadsheet. I did try to put asterisks. You'll see right here on this next slide indicates full payments related to EDC incentive agreements. That's why there's an asterisk. So you'll see footnotes along the way. As if you kind of go through the presentation, but yes, I can put the
No, but
total
also,
cost.
I'm curious, like, how much total? So we've got Public Works 250 here, and then we had
I'm
Public
telling
Works
you,
250 there.
500,000.
Just 500. So it's
So
Economic Development and Public Works, just total 250, 250?
Yeah,
That's it?
yes, ma'am.
Oh, I thought I saw it someplace else.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I put 250 in Public Works, 200,000 in EDC, and I think 50,000 in your water department. But the total cost to, oh no, I'm sorry, 250 here.
That's
Yes, I'm
250
sorry.
here,
I'm thinking
yeah.
of the property room. I split the property room 3 ways. What I'm saying is the total cost of that project is 500,000. I split it amongst your funds, but I will be more than happy to give you a breakdown of each of those funds for the ones I did split for the total cost, because I did do that to a few of them. Same thing with like your police department. If I could split it among different areas, like your police radios is in here, I split it amongst different areas because you don't want it all to come from your general fund. You have red light camera funds, you have crime control, you have forfeiture, and then we do it as a percentage split in order to be consistent with the law for those items. And so, but I will get you a cheat sheet with all of those broken down. When we give a presentation, I'm giving you the total cost. So I'm telling you, I budgeted 500,000. But if you would like to know how that's broken down into each fund, I can certainly put that on one cheat sheet for you.
Appreciate it.
But we
Thank
will
you.
see it as we go through this presentation that it's split.
Yes, Counselor Campos.
I didn't want to use cheat sheet. You're from the academic, you know, your PhD. I just, you know, just some type
A
of.
legend,
key
I get
legend,
it.
Right.
So your economic development department, you had 964,000 sitting there. We do have contractual obligations with current 380 agreements. You have your Royal Tile, your Little Caesars. I am wanting to do a hotel feasibility study. The last one we got ready to do was in 2014. I'd like to take a look at doing one. I'm estimating 40,000. It could be a little bit more, a little bit less. And so if you want to know what a hotel feasibility study is, so there's companies out there that'll come in, take a look at your community and determine whether or not a hotel fits in certain areas or jurisdictions. We have certain hotels that I currently right now, it's not Eco Lodge, it just got brought out, I think it's Express Stay or something. They would take a look at that particular place because it's a current hotel, but they'll also take a look at any vacant areas. So Sarah's here, she proposed tricolor. That was a conversation the mayor and I had prior to that presentation, that was something that I wanted to take a look at to see if there was anywhere else that we could fit a possible hotel to help if y'all do decide to regulate short-term rentals, that offsets that revenue coming in with another hotel motel tax supported business. And so I do want to do a hotel feasibility study. And then once you get that feasibility study, then you reach out to hotels that fit those dynamics and see if they'll be willing to partner with us to do a project. And that's why your reserve fund in EDC is so important, because if you spin that all down, when it comes time to have those negotiations, you won't have any money to do it. And so it's good to have some money sitting in your economic development fund.
Well, and it's a continual replenishment every month.
Well,
with the sales tax, so.
What, this?
No,
It only
I meant the sales tax itself every month. We get, what, 30,000 or something?
What, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
What's your question?
It's the 1/8 cent sales tax, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You get
But
sales
that's-
tax.
Yeah.
But your sales
This
tax
is, this is the reserve fund. I understand that, but I'm
yes.
just saying it's a,
Yes, so you get sales
Yeah.
tax, but in order for you to have generated this took you almost 5 years and you haven't even crested on a mill. So you use the majority of your sales tax in order to support your operating and economic development. Any projects you don't do for that remaining of the year, just like this year, the remainder of that goes into your reserve fund. But when I first took over, you had like less than 300,000 sitting there. That's not enough to recruit a hotel to come into the city. And so if you're looking at doing a larger scale project, you're going to need a little bit of money to be able to do that. But in next year, I am proposing that you do spend a little bit of money. We also want to do Tyler Technologies. What Tyler Technologies is, so Encode is essentially telling us that in the next few years, we're going to have to move from a server to cloud-based. And they've been telling us this for quite some time. The lead time on that is 18 to 24 months as well. We need to move from Encode 9 to Encode 10. And so I put it in, we don't have to do it next year, but it needs to live somewhere. So whether we plan it out for 2 years out or 3 years out, at some point Encode's going to say you don't have a choice, you have to go to the cloud-based version and it's going to cost you that amount. Because Encode is your complete financial software system, it controls all of your community, all of your parks, so you want to think outside the box. Under your definitions for economic and community, you have other. I think that would fall in that category. Code and animal control, you have a truck that needs to be replaced, and we always repurpose one truck, and so we have that geared up for 27, 28, so not for next year. Your parks, we don't really have anything geared up. I did put your Forest Oaks pool, that's the asterisk I was talking about, is grant funding. We put the 1.6 in FY 27, 28. It functions just like your hike and bike trail. You have to budget, because it's a reimbursable grant, you have to budget for the full amount. At the beginning, the grant monies is already put in to that 6 million. So that 1.655 isn't taken out of your whole reserve. We only took out the 800,000. But we budget for the full amount here because we're going to put the other 800,000 of that money back into your revenue side. So when you go to the very beginning and you're taking a look at your total cost, that 6 million, the $800,000 grant lives in that 6 million. I didn't take the whole 1.2 million off that 6 million. It's already put back in there. Moving on to the library, she needs flooring and carpet tiles. If you visited the library and you go to the training room, there's no, I mean, kids are in there, it gets used. It's about 70,000. We're anticipating an AC repair. One of them is kind of giving us trouble, but we don't know if it will actually go out. Those are kind of one of the ones. If it makes it, then it makes it. But normally in the summertime, we've been having a little bit of hiccups with one of the remaining AC units.
Yes, Councilor Campos, thank you.
Would there be any consideration to enclosing part of the library to make more space, or possibly moving some of that, the historical information that's in one of the rooms and filing cabinets? I took a tour of the library, and so I was there looking at it and said, well, it's just sitting there. I don't know if anybody actually actively goes through there and says, I want to sit in this archive room, and maybe that could be put someplace else. Just some thought about that. I don't know what it would cost, but if that was something that we could consider.
So David's looking into, enclosing is a little bit more expensive. Your public works director and the assistant public works director have come up with like a creative solution, we think, for that, which is almost like a large, I want to say tiny home situation for that back portion where the old apartments used to be, or the old record storage building behind Poppy's, on that pad that's back there. And it's like 56 to 70,000, which is astronomically cheaper than doing any of those projects. There wouldn't be a restroom in there. They would have to use a library restroom, but it would have AC. It would be climate controlled. And so we're still looking into the legality of whether or not we have to provide a restroom in there. I don't think we do, as long as we have, as long as it's open the same time the library is open, then they could use both. And then you could free up some space in the library, and you could also have a portion for your friends of the library annex situation. And so he is investigating that. I don't have the cost to that. We're looking at bringing that presentation probably the second meeting in May, once he gets all the costs finalized. And then you can determine at that time if you want to add it to your capital or not.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Okay.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
I just, there's so many great things that are happening at the library. I want to make sure they're able to use all the space that they have, rather than it be a dead area with just files that are there on the chance that somebody wants to see something.
Absolutely. Your tree mitigation fund, we have 90,000 for right-of-way tree removal, natural, and 90,000 for the natural area. Now, this is pending, changes to your tree mitigation ordinance. I put it in here in anticipation of that. I do have the tree ordinance geared up, not for the first meeting in May, for y'all to look at that based on, I think the mayor requested that those items come back. I sent y'all the information ahead of time, but we'll be bringing back the tree ordinance for y'all to take a look at.
Just to see how we can spend that money.
Yes.
And how, what changes need to be made to make it broader.
Yeah, the big one is more of tree removal, I think is going to be huge. And then you would replant after you removed the dead, I'm not talking regular tree remove, dead trees or fallen trees, to be able to spend that money in that way. Or you can broaden it in other ways if you so choose, but
Well,
that was the idea.
and also I was wondering, we talked about that with Bear Branches Alliance, Jackie Randall, about Bandera Road and the renovation that we're going to experience along Bandera Road with the parkway, and we need to plant trees because they're going to be taking out trees. So you have that 1 million sitting over there in 31 and 32. I'm wondering if we could do the same kind of thinking about designating a portion of it, like we're doing with the ambulance.
Whatever
and
y'all want to do.
You know what I'm saying? Because
I stuck the 1 million.
Yeah, because
here
it's
just for it to
yeah.
live. Again, I don't want to. I mean, I would love to think I'll be here forever and ever, but I know that that's probably not going to happen. And so I want to make sure that all of these projects live somewhere, even if it lives on your capital plan or it gets moved. Like, say y'all decide y'all don't want to do the property room, and we moved it to a non-funded capital spreadsheet. I just need it to live somewhere so the council and the residents know, one, that we as staff provided the recommendation to y'all and let y'all know that y'all needed these items. And two, for future councils to know that they need to make sure that they allocate appropriate funding for those items at some point.
Yeah, and TxDOT doesn't have any tree
funding, yes,
tree money at all, so that would be our responsibility. Yes, sir. Go ahead, Mr.
Could you
Campos.
remind me, how do we get money into the tree mitigation fund?
Sure.
Development.
Yeah, so it's the development, and a developer comes in and pays fees in lieu of most of the time. And so this big one was for, the reason you grew so much over the last 2 years was because of the Seneca West and your Senna and your Trilogy property. But anytime a developer comes in and doesn't want to replant all of the trees or replace them to the same diameter, they pay a fee in lieu of.
So we don't have that much more room to
We don't.
have new.
Correct.
And so that's why I'm trying to figure out, how do we get that $1 million?
You don't. I mean, I put it somewhere so it lives somewhere so you're aware, but the pressure has been more so in using all of your reserve funds. And so I budgeted 90,000, and y'all can amend your ordinance to take out, to broaden so you can use those funds. There's pressure on both sides, right? There's pressure on spending all of your reserve fund, and then there's pressure on, we need to save for these larger projects. And so I don't foresee you having a big windfall in your tree mitigation funds in the near future. You may have some from the PDD that's coming from the Sawyer Road property. We do have the POS property that is coming up. You may have some tree mitigation funds for that that come up. And so those are your next two larger scale projects that may have some tree mitigation funds go into this pocket of money. But yes, you could definitely spread out your funds. And the presentation I gave at the town hall meeting, I showed how if you've used all your funds, you zero out at the end. I mean, you go broke like somewhere around 20 or FY 33, 34, if you spent all your funds the way that you needed to spend all your funds. And so I think the question more so was, how can we use these funds without impacting the general fund?
Right. And so by giving us the definition of how, in the answers you gave all of us, that we know, okay, from the EDD fund, we could use it for X, and
Sure.
whatever it is. But that way we knew, okay, by definition, this is what we can possibly use it. because that was one thing that stuck out of my mind is that, well, how are we going to get that money? So if we could spread it over other funds, so.
Well, we
Mo-
also, could we
sorry.
use ED fund for the trees too?
You can use them for
Yeah,
community.
yeah, so I mean, there's other pockets. Maybe there's grants in the future.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
thought process, and you know, I put
Excuse me, I didn't mean
no,
to
I put a
interrupt.
plug in with Bear Branches Alliance when we were
yeah.
here. I like
And
to
she
partner
was
with her.
surprised. She did
was-
not know,
yeah.
so she's
So,
gonna
I'm
help us, I
hopeful
think.
that we won't have to front the $1 million. I just need to put it somewhere so it doesn't get forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
Or somebody, you know, when we hit that saying, how are we going to pay for this? Nobody budgeted or funded for that or had the foresight to think about that. And so I just I call it, you know, it has a home. And so all of these areas have a home, but you can split it among departments. It doesn't have to live here. You could split it between ED and here. Once you vote on your 10-year capital plan, it doesn't make it in cement. You know, your
Yeah, it's
capital plan is
flexible.
flexible. And so even if you left it there for now, over
Mhm.
time, you can start taking a look at shifting those funds around. Because if we got a really good deal and we needed, you know, $500,000 to make a deal happen with a hotel or a larger business, my recommendation would be to do it because the long-term economic impact would be huge. But you would diminish those funds rather quickly in the ED fund, and you wouldn't have that money available to do that later on, so. Moving on to your enterprise fund, this is the one we're a little bit more concerned with. Me and Carol are kind of focusing on your enterprise fund this year. We're kind of taking a look at your reserve balance. We're breaking it down. We kind of used to put it all in one bucket, so we're kind of really spreading it out. But your net position will be left with 1.3, and essentially what we budgeted for was another $500,000 to do water main replacement and purchase some water rights. I don't know if we'll purchase water rights next year or not. Got a question?
Yes, Counselor, we're not gonna, well, go ahead. I thought we
So
have it right there at
I
140.
think,
Yes, go ahead,
that
Mr.
we
Campos.
bought quite a few water rights
This
about a
year.
year and a half ago, and so maybe just the suggestion that maybe we start thinking about leasing water for the short term, you know, because I don't know, we just really need to look at, maybe get a presentation on what was our permits, how much did we pump, how much did we sell, you know, and that way we can then determine and make a great decision on whether we need to purchase or lease new water rights.
Correct. And so again, this is, water's so important. If you've been following Corpus Christi, we are in probably one of the best positions. We really pushed the last 2 years to purchase a lot of water rights, which Melinda and her team did during that time. And so we have an estimate of how much water you would need at this level stage 4 for the population you have. And we're only like 300 acre feet or 400. We're not far off from that top. So that may mean that you do lease that additional. I just don't know what that looks like yet at this point. But we put in the 140,000 just in case we get an opportunity. I would hate to pass up water rights, to be perfectly honest with you. If we have the opportunity to purchase, I probably would recommend, in order for us to hit that mark, especially with your new subdivisions going in. But I did put it in here, but again, I put it in every year. There's been years that we don't purchase because either the rate is too high or we don't need it, then I'm not gonna recommend spending it. Your water mains, we did budget 500,000. Your sewer mains, we budgeted another 500,000. I may, for these two, David, as y'all saw in my city manager's update, having him put together the priority listing, getting with the engineers, see what the next ones set are up. I don't like that your reserve is sitting at 1.3. I would like to be able to leverage those funds. And so he's doing some research on the revolving loan and what that will look like, and then what the increase will be with your increased rates in order to make a determination of whether or not we can start moving through the finished priority 1 and move to your set of priority 2s.
And just back on the water, can you give like the pros and cons of buying versus leasing, especially in time of drought?
Sure.
Severe drought.
So buying, for me, buying, you own it. And then I can always lease it out if we over
that's right.
have. So I'd rather own it and then make money off of it. Because people come, if we don't spend all of our water rights, we have in the past, if we go at the end of the year and we've had the Hyatt come to us and say, hey, we need to buy some of your water rights. And so we not buy, but lease some of our water rights. And so we have done that. We've made a little bit of money here and there at the end of the year. When we didn't use all of our water rights, we have been able to sell some of, or lease some of those, or, do a bridge for some of the people that need them.
Yeah.
So that's important. Leasing sometimes comes into play when water rights, especially during drought, are so expensive. You also don't want to overpay for water. And so when it's drought season, those ticket prices for water rights go through the roof, especially for 50 or 60 acre feet, go high because they have so little to sell. And so we try to look at the advantages and disadvantages. We bought last time, I think it was 11,500 per acre foot, which was really high when I first started here. There were 3,000 an acre foot. Then it went up to 5. And then when it hit 10, I told Melinda, no, we're gonna wait for it to rain. And so we went a year and a half, and we didn't buy any water rights, and then it went up again. And so that made me a little bit nervous. And so we went ahead and made a purchase about a year ago, and purchased quite a bit, so.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Your stormwater has your Hebner Creek erosion plan. I went ahead and put the 800,000 back in there. We didn't dedicate funds this year, but I'm hoping we land that plane at some point. So I did put it in your stormwater fund. We do have 67,000 in your traffic safety, and I do want to talk a little bit about your reserve. I'm a little bit nervous in spending down your reserve because we've had issues with people paying the red light camera tickets, and we had to use 400,000 last year in order to cover your deficit in red light cameras. So I'm more nervous of touching your reserve fund because I'm trying to get y'all to the end of y'all's contractual agreement with ATS. And with us moving personnel out of there, it just makes me a little concerned.
Yes, Counselor Campos.
At some point, we have police officers that are funded. I think there's 6 of them, if I'm not mistaken. At some point, we need to slowly start transitioning because this contract's going to end sooner than hopefully it'll last the whole term to 37, but it may not. And so we've just got to think about that.
So every year for the last 5 years, I've tried to transition your patrol out to give y'all a plan, 1 a year, and we've not been unable to make the numbers work. Y'all put that as one of my goals, but it's a goal. I'll put it in the budget, but you as the council have to accept that goal and vote to move them over. I can't do that. That lays at y'all's authority.
Well, because long-term, we can't sustain it because we're not getting the money, right, from the tickets?
Well, I mean, well, yes and no. I mean, your police officers that you fund out of here, you're going to have to move over to general fund or not fund them. Those are your 2 options. Not fund them or move them over into general fund. From hearing from the residents and what was said at town hall meeting, that doesn't seem like people want to do that. They want us to move them over in general fund. 1 or 2 things can happen there. You cut somewhere else in order to fund the police, or you raise your property tax in order to do it. So those are your 2 options to be able to figure that out. I don't know, we just started touching on the budget. We have budget meetings set up over the next couple of weeks, so I don't even know what that looks like right now. But we can slowly start moving personnel over. You could technically use, and I pitched it my 2nd year here, some ED operating funds to fund a community resources officer. They're essentially a patrol officer, but they handle the community side of things, like your business, they patrol your business area, your community, the graffiti. We used to have a community resources officer. They still patrol, they still write citations, they do all the things, but we could pay for a portion of that salary out of ED fund. So there's some creative things we could do in order to offset the cost and the impact on your general fund. You could look at shifting some general fund people back over to the water because we move people out of the water. So, there's those options as well. Your crime control, we have 1 detective vehicle, your flock cameras, and then your property room plans. Here's the other 100,000. Building court security, you have 102,000, but you got court technology. Oh, there it is. We kind of put them all in one kind of lump thing. We use these more for your ticket writers. Most of the time what happens is we need some sort of piece of equipment, and because it's such a small amount, we just come to you with a budget adjustment because something's gone wrong, whether it's a metal detector thing that went out or a ticket writer that's gone out. We could even use some of the funds for the encode upgrade if we need to. Not all of it, but you could use a little bit if you needed to.
Counselor Campos, yes. Thank you.
This fund, if you go back 1 page, so this court technology fund, that is being assessed to people who are, they've had citations, is that, or is it when you go before a judge? Or what, how do we generate this?
It is through, I want to say through citations, but now I think I'm wrong. Yeah, through the citations. Okay, I'm looking, phone a friend back here.
And so are we at the max of what we can charge?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Community and Conference Center, this is, your revenue comes from hotel motel tax. You do have some money. We were sitting a little low there the last couple of years, but I think you do have enough to do your bathrooms finally at the Conference Center. They're in need to be done, so. Your forfeiture fund, we're looking at one undercover cop, and then there's the other 100,000 for your property room. And then you have some non-major funds, your LEOS fund, which can only be used for training, your child safety fund, which is your school crossing guards. Our issue with school crossing guards here is that ebbs and flows. We have a lot in reserve because we used to have 2, then we had them retire or some get injured, and because they're part-time, they don't fall really under like our injury policy, and so, but then we can't fill their position because they still technically fall under protections, and so we don't use all their salaries sometimes, and so it goes into the reserve fund. We are advertising, so plug in, we are advertising for one crossing guard, so if you know a friend, please send them our way. And we do pay really well for our crossing guards.
Is it just one on?
We have typically
there?
one supposed to be on, so the way it's supposed to work is each elementary school should have a minimum of 1. The way we get away with not having one at Driggers is that you have a controlled crosswalk there,
Okay.
but you should really have one there. It's a busy street, you should have one there. So one should be there, one should be at Leon Valley Elementary. We've been housing one at Leon Valley Elementary, but she is, I'm going to say injured, and so she can't work, so I have to hold her position. So we're advertising for the second one right now, but that position is typically harder to fill because you basically have in the morning hours and the afternoon hours, so it's a split day, so you have to work around those 2 sets of hours.
Okay, Counselor Campos.
So one question I have.
Sure.
So this child safety fund, is it collected for a school? It says a school crossing guard. It has to be a person. It can't be a program where we have mechanical arms that come down. I don't
know. I have no idea. I need to go look.
And how do we get money into that fund? How do we get money into that fund?
That's also part of citations too, right? The child safety fund? Oh, yeah. The school also has to give us a little bit of
Oh,
money.
okay, the school and citations fund,
This little fund, yeah.
the child safety fund. Okay, thank you. Yes, Counselor Bolton. Thank you.
Question. When I went to Leon Valley Elementary, we had the 5th graders do the crossing guard. I mean, that was a big deal. We didn't have an adult with us. They
Really?
had students who did
Oh.
a rotation of the crossing guard, and it was always the 5th graders, you know, and it was. But so I'm just wondering if there's other avenues.
Dr. Caldera is cringing. Liability.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it wouldn't be
I'm
us,
just telling
well,
you.
it's not us that would control that. We don't hold
Yeah.
that program. That would be
Yeah.
the school that would
Okay.
do that, and
Yeah,
they don't
but
want
I
that
mean, I'm
liability.
thinking that's.
Yeah, no, that
Okay,
wouldn't
well,
be
that's
on me.
interesting. That really is.
I was a patrol officer.
Is that how you grew up too? Well, maybe we should ask them to, we should ask them.
You're super cool.
Yeah. Kathy, did you want to add something? Okay. You also were a
I was
crossing guard.
too.
Okay. Well, let's ask. You were, oh my gosh. You weren't- were you? Okay, I wasn't, so I don't know. That was, yeah. Anyway, you were a lieutenant. That's funny. Well, maybe we ought to ask them.
I do, I actually do.
Do you really? Oh my gosh, that's great. Okay, wonderful. Okay, thank you. I don't know, maybe we ought to ask him. Okay.
You're retired. Would you like to patrol on
In
Everett
the
Shore?
morning and in the afternoon?
Be a lieutenant.
Yeah. So we could, this is used for hiring, but we could also increase their rate of pay with this money too.
We did already. So they're getting paid. So Northside Independent School District, I think, pays $15 or $16 an hour. We pay 18.
18, okay.
And we do pay well for a school crossing guard.
Okay. All right.
2 hours in the morning and 2 hours.
I think it's 3 and 3. What did we say it was? 10 hours a week. Yeah, okay, 10 hours a week.
Oh, 10 hours a week.
I was looking for Lisa.
Okay.
There you go.
All right.
Okay, so that concludes our capital
Okay,
plan. So
very good.
take note, if you have any concerns, questions, email, you can email them to me all the time. If you want to add something, you don't see something there, if you want to move something up on the timelines, because, we try to put things 10 years out, please, we're going to be working through this pretty vigorously over the next few weeks.
All right.
Sorry to ask so many
Counselor-
questions.
no. Counselor
but-
Campos, go ahead.
I did not pull the presentation from last council meeting where we had the priorities at the town hall. So do we address the top 4, top 3 of those?
Yeah, so in each section, there was different priorities, and the big priorities lied with your police, your erosion, that's why I put your erosion plan back in here. And then your library annex and your public works building, depending on where it was, fell in there. The other thing that was kind of up there, you just don't have any money, is the links reconstruction. And so I don't know where to really put that. I do have it considered in your non-funded capital, and we'll have a conversation at the retreat of what I have considered as non-funded capital. You don't have 1.8 million anywhere to do that.
Well, so I was traveling through the Linkwood the other day, and I was trying to figure out what streets we're specifically talking about. So offline, can you give me those streets? Because the street that I was on, it's kind of like, it looked fine, and I don't know which ones.
Yeah, I know there's one, because I got it at the door. Yeah, and I turned it in, and they said, uh-oh, it needs a complete reconstruct.
But I'll
Yeah.
send it to you. This morning, same thing, I drove Forest Knoll to check on the progress of the current sewer project in the forest area, and that street, even before the sewer project, so like Forest Knoll, Forest Ridge, Forest Ledge, like when you're going in that whole area, those streets are horrible in my opinion. Over there where Miss Mersch lives as well, those streets are bad too. And so when we're doing the sewer project, they're not fixing your street, they're putting a patch over a already bad street, and I think some residents are expecting it to be like flat and smooth. All they're doing is putting it back to its original intent, because all they're there for is to fix the sewer. And so you don't have the money to do
I
your
know.
streets in that area.
Y'all go drive over there. It doesn't look
It's
very
bad.
pretty.
No,
It really look, and
They're not done.
But we're not, but, okay, question that came to me is, well, why in the Seneca, you're doing the water, and then you're doing the street too, and you have the money there, but why aren't you doing it in Forest Oaks? Just doing the
So you
sewer and
have
you're
your-
not doing the street? That's what I'm getting in the neighborhood, so.
Absolutely, and that's a
Yeah.
great question, and the big answer to that question is you have a street ranking system, and so
Well-
we're moving through the streets.
And I said, we already did Forest Ridge like a year or 2 ago, right?
Yeah.
Didn't we? I think we did, so.
And so right now, we're focusing on Warsbach, Hebner, and Timber Hill are our next ones. Part of the Seneca and some of the stuff back there was part of the development agreement with the new development that's back there. So some of those streets are gonna look pretty pristine as part of that new development. They don't wanna sell homes and have to go through poor streets. And so they're doing some of those improvements. If you look at your Trilogy property, the developer fixed the fence across the street out of the goodness of their heart, because it's easier for them to sell homes when the property surrounding them.
Oh, I
is
didn't
slow.
realize he did that.
He did
Okay.
a portion of the street,
Mhm.
yeah. Not all of it. Some of it's us, but
Like 2 houses he can do.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, Counselor.
So
Campos.
as we have these individual projects, water, sewer, whatever it is, I think I would suggest that we put what's called an additive alternate, to say, instead of doing patchwork, what would be the incremental cost of us repaving that street?
It looks
And
horrible.
see whether or not that could satisfy our palate to say, yes, it's worth the extra cost.
well, now that we know, right, that it's not.
Now that
I've
we
been
know that
driving
it looks ugly.
And so, so we can add that as a component to the scope of work as
Yeah,
we move through
let's
these
do.
projects, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's an optional thing that we can decide yes or no. Okay, so one would be patch, another would be, hey, give us another price for additive alternate of this mill and overlay, and we can then decide, yes, it's worth the incremental cost. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Anything else?
Well, just really quick, when are
Yes,
you
go
asking
ahead,
your
Counselor.
directors for their wish list?
This is their wish list.
That's everything?
Mhm.
Wow.
So,
okay.
again, we focused this year on what do we need. We took at the plan So, I mean, if it was up to fire and police department, they put all their cars in 1 year. No, but we do spread it out over the course of your 10 years. We try to make sure we're being responsible in that regard. The things that don't live on this plan are we considered non-funded capital would be anything big that you have to do with any of your infrastructure, your building infrastructure. So at some point, the roof's going to need to be replaced here. Your ACs in this building are going to need to be replaced. I mean, you have some of those items. The links is another item, 1.8. So we try to be respectful and not just flood you with quote unquote all of these needs. We go through them with a fine tooth comb. If they can be spread out over time, we prefer. If we think it could wait. Your library AC is a prime example of that. We may not need it. So we'll put it in, we'll schedule it, and if we don't need it, then it'll go into reserve, but then you'll see it pop up next year. My big problem with your capital plan when I took over is it was like hodgepodge and not everything was on there. Things weren't taken into consideration. And so we try to make sure that it was done in detail. And so we're still working on it, though. I mean, there's times I think, oh, that needs to be on there, and so we'll add it.
Okay. Well, thank you for all your efforts. We really appreciate it, and we have a lot of decisions to make, but.
It's going to be a long year.
Yeah. Yes, it is. But anyway, okay, thank you so much, and thanks to all the directors, too. Really appreciate your input. We do. Thank you. Okay, then we're moving back to announcements at 9:05. All right. Well, I just hope everybody had a wonderful Easter and Passover celebration. I can't believe it's already April this year, and thank goodness for the rain. It was so wonderful to have rain last weekend, even though, who was I talking to today? Oh, my hairdresser. She lives in Floresville. They got no rain. Can you believe that? No rain. And I said, I got just about an inch, not quite an inch. Some people got 2 inches, but anyway, it was still a blessing. 2 announcements because people have asked me, Mayor, when is the volunteer appreciation dinner? I said, guess what? We're not having it this year. We didn't have it budgeted. So anyway, just want to let everybody know that. But we do thank you for your volunteer spirit. And second of all, the Fiesta medals. People are asking, where are the Fiesta medals? And I'm like, well, we had to take that out of the budget too. So no Fiesta medals this year, but I'm not sure if we'll put it back in the future. But I just want to let people know that because I've gotten multiple people ask me that. Want to welcome the new business, Jet Shine on Grissom Road. I think you saw that we're going to have a grand opening on April 15th at 1 p.m. I want to congratulate, I don't think he's here, but it was in your city manager's report to Leon Valley Assistant Chief Chris Wellis for earning his Master's Arson and Fire Investigator certificate through the Texas Commission on Fire Protection. I'm sure that was a lot of work, and so we appreciate him taking that certification. And also, we did say welcome to Sarah. That was on my list. And just FYI, Counselor Orozco, Counselor Heil, and I, along with the city manager and the HR director, interviewed 11 very qualified candidates, and Sarah floated to the top. So we appreciate it. It was wonderful to have you on board, so thank you for accepting the offer. We do have a coffee with the mayor and council on the 25th of April from 9 to 11. Are there any topics, or if there's any topics that you want addressed? The manager and I were talking about, do you want the Capitol, or, I don't know. It's pretty preliminary, but if you want anything, let us know because we have to post. So right now, it's just a coffee, I believe.
Well, so normally at the April meeting, we do start putting on the Capitol or some version of that. If y'all want to do it, but I like to say at the end of the year when citizens start complaining about whatever, we read the budget 13 times. Yeah, I know. And so, I know. So I like to do it. So if y'all are okay with that, I would like to put it on.
Is there a consensus to add that to the coffee, the capital plan? Is that what y'all like to do? Okay. All right. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. Yes. Counselor Marsh.
I just definitely think that we need to make it as obvious as possible that we're looking for community input and that we're giving them an opportunity to help us prioritize or, that kind of thing, because they forget that very easily.
Yeah, and I keep hearing we need 5 police officers. That's true, but guess what? how much is that going to cost?
Yeah.
And are you willing to raise your property taxes? So, because, anyway, that kind of thing. Yes, Counselor Campos.
I had mentioned a future presentation about the water situation. You know, where we were, how many water rights we have, pumping and so forth. It may be a great time to remind our citizens, please use the water wisely.
Oh, I know.
We have a lot of lawns that are, I mean, green, green, green.
Really?
Oh,
I tell you
yes.
what, in Forest Oaks, everybody left, it's all dirt. It's mostly dirt. I can't believe it. Yeah.
And so,
Okay.
if
Interesting.
we could just, and then if we could be part of that, as that we bought the water rights, then stress, we were able to fund this through a new impact fee that we're passing to not existing residents, but for our new residents that are connecting. So.
So do you want that as two separate presentations or one presentation? And do you want that at the coffee or do you want that as a future council presentation?
You know, it's important, you know, I'll leave it up to my colleagues, but all this needs to be brought forward, I think.
I just need to know when, though.
Coffee with the
or-
mayor would be a beginning, I mean, a start, you know,
Okay,
just to.
so then.
So we're
you're
going to
his
have two
second-
presentations, one the
presentations?
capital and one the water.
Water,
So
okay.
we're, okay.
And so then
we'll
it's
work on that.
Campos and Orozco is his second, so on the record.
Okay. All right, sounds good. And then Happy Fiesta, that's coming around the corner too, so y'all have before we reconvene on April 21st. So, okay, that's all I have. Anyone else have any announcements? Yes, Counselor Campos.
Just very quick, Mayor,
You bet.
thank you for bringing up about Assistant Fire Chief
Yes,
Chris
I
Willis.
thought
I
that
had
was
that in my
really-
notes, so I'm going to scratch that.
Okay,
But I
scratch
wanna
it
thank-
off. I
yeah,
beat you to it.
I do want to point out, I was very impressed by the manager's pre-city council meeting report. You know, in the library, there's approximately 22 programs for the remainder of the month. And if
I
you
know
haven't
when
seen the
I
list.
when I
it's
asked her what else they were
impressive.
doing, they're saying, oh, just the regular stuff. So that's
Yeah,
22 programs.
I mean, it goes from the 7th.
Thank you, Regina.
of-
Awesome.
Through the 30th. It's phenomenal. And I also want to just point out and thank you for putting in for 5 grants. That, you're really chasing. I mean, that's why you're top rated in your library excellence by the state. And then I also do want to thank the city manager and the directors here for putting together that 10-year capital
Yeah.
plan. And I asked a lot of questions, and thank you for all the responses that I got. So thank you. And it was all shared with our colleagues here on the dais. So now as we go forward, we have some information that we can reference as to how this money is generated and how it can be used.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, well then we'll move to the city manager's report, excuse me.
Oh,
Yes.
I have a report.
Yes, you
do. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Your report is online. I did email it to you earlier. In that same report, I did answer Mr. Campos's questions and then Mrs. Hiles' question on the development agreement. Congratulations to the council. Lane's Chicken is going into Carl's Jr. It just got announced. And so, you know, Rocket did want me to put in a plug that he was instrumental in helping with getting Carl's Jr.
Okay, all
He
right.
te-
Well,
he did
it's
text
going to
me.
be so great to have that iStore improved after so many years of it being blighted. Is it really?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's cheaper than Cane's.
Oh, cheaper than Cane's, okay. All right.
So I did send out a budget survey, as I mentioned during the Capitol. Please look it over. Again, it was a rough draft, so whatever you would like to add or take out.
to it.
I don't want to make it to where it's 2 to 3 pages long. I would like to keep it at a minimum to not have survey fatigue, but any changes to the ones that are there or adding a couple more should be fine.
And you said that was going to be online only.
So that's up
correct?
for discussion at the 21st, so
All right.
however y'all want to do it. We don't really have money budgeted for
Okay.
doing a mail out, but I could have it online at the library and here at City Hall,
Okay.
and they can come by and pick one up for those that don't want to do it online.
Wonderful.
And that concludes my city manager report.
Okay, thank you. Moving then to, thank you, Dr. Caldera. Moving to the consent agenda, 6.1 to 6.6. Any counselor want to move any?
I'd like to make
withdraw
a
any?
motion none to withdraw.
On to withdraw? Okay, go ahead, make your
I'd
motion.
like to make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as presented,
Right?
with highlighting number 6, affirming the new economic development director.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
I'd like to second it.
Okay, so we have a motion by Counselor Campos and a second by Counselor Mersch to approve consent agenda 6.1 to 6.6. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. Moving to 7.3. Presentation and discussion on an ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into a development agreement between the City of Leon Valley and R.C. Bandaroo Realty Group for the sale of the real property, .552 acres of land, Lot 7, Dirt V-Murchison Hebner subdivision, also known as the Silo property. Again, this is the first read as required by the council, so we won't have a vote tonight. It'll be a discussion and any suggested changes, improvements before we approve it for the second read. So Dr. Caldera, you're going to present?
Yeah, so,
Okay,
well, there's
very
not really
good.
a presentation. We had an executive session. I added the agreement in the packet, and so you are, so I'm kind of standing in line for questions and answers about that development agreement. Essentially what it is the city where the silos live, it's .55 acres. She's opening up the packet, sorry. So .55 acres. We would then sell that acre to Mr. Banneroo for $1,000 where the silos live on. He, in return, would restore the silos, gate off the silos, and put a plaque there. After he sells his duplexes, and I think it's a total, is Michael still here? A total 6 duplexes on the plan? 6.
Well, it's actually total of 6 separate units, but if you have
The singles.
2 by themselves.
And so he will put the duplexes on. He will also need to relocate the sewer. That's why it's okay for us to sell the property for $1,000 because it's really kind of the cost to do a project there and the way that the property is laid out. The only person that would have value for this property would be him because he has a PDD for duplexes that are on that backside of that property. And so he would be he needs that second dairy access point, and so he's willing to make all of these concessions in order to have that portion of the property. After that, then he sells all the homes. It would go into the HOA as part of the deed restrictions for the HOA. There is a clawback in the agreement that if they fail, the city would we could resume ownership. We would have first selection of ownership of the silos. We could get those back. That's pretty much kind of a synopsis of where we're at.
Okay. Am I hearing that he's not going to do anything to the silos until he builds his development and has money in order to restore them?
No.
Okay, I just want to be sure, when is
so that's
all that timeline going to happen?
He wants to do the silos quickly because it helps him sell his property.
Okay, good.
They're
I
done.
wasn't
But if
sure.
you want to make that more concrete, we can certainly add that in the agreement.
I didn't know if it was
If you would like a more,
maybe it needed to
stricter
be
timeline?
more.
Well, I don't want it to get destroyed during construction and all the trucks passing by there.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
I guess it's kind of like,
I just wanted to be sure that it was on the front end rather than the back end, but.
It may be all kind of together as part
Okay.
of the construction.
Okay.
I mean, y'all have left them, his big problem and the reason he wants to purchase is because we have been promising to do something with those silos for the last 8 years and we've not.
And then we talked about the 62.5, and so what if it costs more than 62.5? I mean, who's going to assume that?
Okay.
You know
No,
what I'm saying?
so we just need to change that
Yeah,
portion of the
to-
agreement, because
yeah.
Mr. Banner put that in his presentation, that was his estimated
Okay.
cost. It wasn't it was restoration of the silos.
Hmm.
And so we can put that in there, like, instead of saying up to, we could say estimated cost 62,000, just
Mm-hmm.
to comply with that. I don't want to undershoot it either and just say restoration, and then he has to define what restoration is. I kind of want to.
So you want to put it up to a certain number?
Well, not even up to a certain number, just, I like the 62,000, I think that's a
Okay.
fair number, but it could go to 70, 75.
exactly.
So we just put estimated cost of, we could put a range even, 60 to 100,000.
Go ahead, Counselor Mersch, go ahead.
So maybe we could change the wording in terms of the completion date of the silo improvement to be concurrent with the sale of his first house or duplex on that property, as in to make it concurrent. My other question is related to the pump house, and I know we talked about putting some soundproofing, but I know that's at the back of the property, but how is that going to be protected from the subdivision, from the
development?
So we're looking at putting a well house on it, and my understanding is they're pretty I don't know enough about well houses.
Soundproof?
Like I don't know if like completely 100% soundproof, but it should bring down the alarm, or it's like an alarm, I guess, to a lower decibel. It's not in your capital plan. I want to put it in your enterprise fund. We do have it earmarked. Mr. Demeline and Jesse are getting some, I don't know how much that costs. So they're getting some costs associated with them.
So it's called a water,
I'm
what's it called?
making up names.
Water, well house, okay. But it's for the pump, okay. Well house.
Removable roof if we ever have to.
Okay, okay, great.
But
Well house.
it needs to both cut the sound and the ugly, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because that's not going to help
Yes
him
and no.
sell
I mean,
his
if you're purchasing a
property.
home, you're purchasing a home knowing that that's there, right? Like with that. So, but yes, we're hoping the well house looks a little bit more aesthetically pleasing than just the pipe sticking out.
And are we going to require that he build some kind of a path to the park there? I know we talked a little bit about that.
And his plan does it have a, no, not you, not you. No. His plan, did he have a path to the silo park? No. No. But to the whole, from the PDD, he doesn't have a connection back there, right? No. Okay, no. But you can. No want to.
I mean, I would.
I tell you what, they'll make a path.
Yeah,
You
they'll
know,
make
they
a
will.
path, and I'd rather
So,
design a
yeah,
path than
they'll
deal
make a
with
path.
what people do,
So
especially since you're
would-
kind of going through that ditch.
So before we move on to next, do y'all want me to make that amendment in the agreement or send that to RC?
What do y'all think? I think we should connect it. It's a whole site.
Benefit, yeah.
It's a whole site.
Okay.
Okay, Counselor Heil.
2 questions. Do we get to choose the design on the silos?
Yes.
So that'll be our choice.
Yes.
And the other thing, is there something written in there? I thought I saw something where the HOA will maintain the silos.
That is correct.
Did it say for 20 years? What did it say? Maybe I misread it.
Hold on, it's in there.
The term is very confusing.
Yeah.
Okay. Art, the term is very
The,
confusing.
the agreement is for 20 years, but the HOA will have it in perpetuity.
Okay, yes, Counselor Campos, I'm sorry.
But there was a second section, or the 4th anniversary after the final written acceptance of the improvements by the city. I really didn't understand that. I don't know if it was just a filler. I just don't understand what that means.
Art, can you explain that, please?
It's on 3.2.
3.2.
Yeah, just 1 second. I'm trying to get
Okay.
that agreement up in front of me.
Yeah,
Hold on 1 second.
great. The earlier of 20 years after the effective date or the 4th anniversary after final written acceptance of the improvements by the city, the term.
So does that mean 4 years?
Yeah.
So I just didn't know. I've marked it up with all my questions. I don't know if you just want me to turn that in.
So if you have questions, so if y'all have like, especially like legal questions or any of that, you can certainly send those to me and I can send them to the attorney to respond. Especially if you got grammar changes and stuff. I mean, some of y'all are way better at grammar than I am sometimes, but your grammar, your commas.
I would encourage Mr. Campos to turn in your paperwork because you're very detailed oriented and thoughtful, and so, yeah.
The other thing is on 3.4, the remedies. So we turn it over to the HOA, and, I was looking at this and saying, okay, well, maybe that small double I was just a filler, okay? Because the earlier of 20 years or the 4th, so does that mean 4 years? So what happens if the HOA fails and it goes into disrepair? What happens then?
So my understanding, and Art, correct me if I'm wrong, the clawback is that we would resume ownership of the silos, correct?
Oh, can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, my apologies. So the clawback provision is a clawback for if the silos are not constructed in accordance with y'all's plans or desires or timeframes. Okay, the HOA provision is that will be under their ownership and under their responsibility. If the ownership, if the HOA does go belly up, I mean, that's a risk that for which we don't have a remedy in here, other than other than the agreement the way that it stands. We did talk about possibly a financial assurance, putting up some sort of financial assurance with respect to that. I don't know if that's something that the city would be interested in. But yeah,
Would you explain that, and how does that work, and how much, and all that? Financial assurance. Who's gonna?
I'm sorry, say that again, Mayor?
You said financial assurance is what we could look
Yes.
at. If they, HOA went belly up, and I wanted to know, what does that mean? What does that look like? Yeah.
Well, that could be any number of things. That could be some sort of bond that's, a performance bond, or some sort of CD, some sort of, I mean, it can take many forms, but financial assurance to ensure that it's continuously maintained.
Okay.
Hey, Art, could we put in there, basically, if the HOA fails to maintain and or goes bankrupt, that the city would just resume ownership of this portion of the silos?
We could, yes.
So that
that
may be your easiest
That could be a
remedy.
condition in there.
So that's why I was looking at the remedies 3.4. I didn't think that addressed that.
Okay.
But in the clawback, I'm just going to regurgitate what you said the way I understand and I read it. The clawback provision only pertains to the beginning, that they do not perform to restore them. Then that property reverts back to the city. But once they're improved, we've accepted it. I didn't see anything, a remedy for that. So that was.
I mean, that's correct. I mean, I looked at it most like a plat on in any other development, that once y'all accept the improvements on it, then it's up to the HOA at that point to maintain whatever, whether it's their pool, or whether it's the pool house, or park trails, that kind of thing. And we don't require that sort of financial assurance for other types of development.
Okay.
So I didn't include it here. However, that's something that we could certainly do.
Yes, Councilor Roscoe, and then Councilor Mersch. Go ahead.
Hey, Art, how are you doing, sir? If we put on there verbiage that indicates that the city will take over the silos if the HOA fails to maintain it, the HOA can easily say, well, you know what? Let the city pay for it. Would it be feasible to put on there that if the city takes it over to maintain it, that we will charge the HOA for it?
Well, that's where that financial assurance comes in, I think.
And
doesn't
the
it?
HOA, once they're established in the state of Texas, they have to be, the only time that they can get out, of course, you can abandon, of course, I understand that, but you can vote, the citizens can vote to abolish it, but not until 30 years after, that's the way ours is, I don't know about, and it has to be 100% vote. But back to the, then just not taking care of it and leaving it to the city, I don't know, can we take it over if they abandon it and yet still charge the HOA for it?
But if they go belly up, they don't have any money.
So one thing that we might look at is putting it in a special district.
Special.
And if it was ever deeded back to the city, the city was ever able to get those silos back, and we placed that in the district on just that property, then we could provide a special assessment on those, which would be the property owners to fund the ongoing maintenance of it. But that's, I mean,
Well,
we're adding on a lot of a lot more bureaucracy and a lot more
I agree.
regulation on here by doing something like that. But if you did some sort of PID like that, a public improvement district over that property for the specific purpose of maintaining those silos, that is something that we could do.
and can we have a restriction in the deed that says that the silos won't ever be destroyed? You know what I'm saying?
That's already in the agreement.
Okay, all right, good. I think we talked about that last time, so I didn't see that.
I agree with what Councilor Orozco was talking about. We don't want to make it easy for them to defer it to the city, but I'm concerned about the whole concept of this HOA maintaining the silos, because you're going to have an HOA consisting of maybe 6 owners. That's a very small number to come up with money, particularly if something happens to the silos that they need significant. It may be enough to mow the grass around the silos, but I don't think it's enough to do anything to maintain them, like to paint them every 10 years or whatever that might be.
True.
Because it's going to be tiny. I mean, especially if you have one owner that has a duplex and there's only 2 duplexes and 2 singles.
Well,
and
he
whatever.
has the back property as well. So he has I think it's 9 on that other property.
13 or 14.
So, but yes, it's not a big area. The idea though is what you want more. So we don't have to do this development agreement. Then you're still responsible for the silos, maintaining them and doing something with them. The idea to this was 1, to get that land developed, and 2, to get somebody to actually do something with the silos that could help with economic development, right? That's part of economic development. And so kind of beautifying that area. So you want to make it easy for them, if they don't want to do it, to turn it back over to the city, because your ultimate goal is to protect the silos. So even if the HOA says, hey, we can't maintain them and they're not repainting them every 5 to 10 years and they don't have the funds to do it, then you need somewhere in there that you do take them back over, because the whole goal, or what we heard from the citizens, were above everything else was to protect the integrity of the silos. And so he just wanted to have control over them because we weren't doing anything with them. You could also cut the silos out and just sell him the unused portion, and then you would maintain the silos. His fear is that we're not going to do that because we've been promising to do that for a few years. And so that's why this opportunity came up. But under any circumstance, you're also not required to do this development agreement either.
Okay, who else? Yes,
I mean,
Councilor
I
Marsh.
think the development is good to do. I'm not going that direction. But I do think we should have some kind of a timeline for the dissolution of the HOA in regards to the maintenance of the silos. But should that, maybe there's a negotiation with the city to take it back so that it's not super easy, but they have to say why they can't afford it, or, that kind of thing? Or is that totally unreasonable?
I don't know, Councilor.
I agree. I'm okay with the development. I don't want to make it too cumbersome where he'll say, well, I'm not going to do the silos, I'm not going to buy the property. If we can get the silos at least looking halfway decent, painted, and in 20 years, I think, we're not going to be around, but hopefully the next council will take it over and say, well, we'll keep the maintenance up if we have to. I don't want to make it too cumbersome for them, and to the point where they'll just let it go. We had an opportunity to fix the silos, make them look halfway decent, and just go with that, I think. I mean, that's just my idea.
And this is still pretty complex, the agreement, so. Okay, anyone else on this side have anything? Anything
So
else?
if-
Kathy, do you have anything that you'd like to add for the historical? All righty, thank you. I think it's a, win-win, I really do. But I mean, I know
So
we
if-
have some
if Mr.
concerns, but I think
Campos could
overall
send
it's
me-
good.
If you could send me your changes to, or your questions to the agreement,
I've
then.
manually marked it up.
Okay.
Do you want to just?
No, I'll scan it, I'll scan them
Scan it to
in.
you.
Oh, no, I can scan it here, don't leave as soon as this meeting's over. We'll scan them in, we'll send them to the attorney. I will have him do something with maintenance and maintaining. If the failure to do so, we have the first right to purchase or something. So I'll work with Art on that language. I do think a PID and a special assessment is overly complicated, and you're gonna increase the cost of the project for him. That may not be what his intent to do it. We can also take a look at changing the 62,500 up to, make that amendment. And then we'll add, what was the other one? Oh, yeah, a pathway to the
Oh, yeah,
park.
I think so. That's good.
So we'll make those amended changes. I'll get with Art. We'll add it on again for discussion. We won't put it on consent, and we can kind of go through those changes.
Okay, let's do that. Is that all right for the second read? Yes, Counselor Marsh.
I want to make sure I understood right. So we're saying up to the 62 or at least 62?
Just an estimated cost of 6,200. So it could be more, it could be less.
Okay.
He just has to restore the silos and put a design on them. So he has to fix the hole in the roof, he has to put a design on them, he's gonna put the iron gate, he's gonna put some planters around it. It should match, so as part of this agreement, attachment or Exhibit A is a site plan, and then we'll do
Oh, we
like
don't
a
have that yet.
amendment. I included it in something.
I
The
didn't.
original one, but he's making a
Okay.
fire truck lane change anyway.
Okay.
And so
Yeah,
again,
I
this, you don't have to, you may not vote on it the next council meeting either. It's to work through so that way you feel comfortable with this exchange.
Okay, yes, Counselor.
So in the next version, can you go ahead and give us all the exhibits? So I was looking, Exhibit A is missing.
it's missing.
And then.
No, it was
and
missing.
then
I didn't see
There's
it.
another revitalization plan, and it's exhibit blank, and I'm there, hey, where is that?
Oh.
Okay, so if you could give us a fuller document, that would be great. That way we know
Right.
what it's about.
Yeah. This one was just the plan. He's working on the fire truck, getting the fire truck lanes right before we submit the plan. And so we'll get that to you.
Sounds good. All right. Anything else? Yes, Counselor Marsh.
I'm still not clear. So we're
Okay.
going to change said rehabilitation costs shall not exceed $62,000 to say something like said rehabilitation costs shall be estimated or,
Estimated at 62,000.
okay.
So it's not up to, it's not less than, it's
It's
just
estimated.
estimated cost.
But we'll see another draft.
Yeah.
So it's not, we won't have the final
Yeah, and then
document. We can
you-
still comment on
Yeah.
the next
We'll
one.
talk about it the next, and if we can pass it, fine. If not, then we can move it to the next
I
meeting.
knew this one was going to take some time. I wanted to have the conversation in public, so if anybody had any concerns about the development agreement, the people at home could see a draft of the development agreement. They could kind of see what it's comprised of. So if residents had any concerns, they would, of course, reach out to y'all. We would kind of get that feedback. It'll be out there for a little while. We'll see it again on the 21st with all the amended changes, and we'll get that out to y'all. And so if there's still more concerns, y'all don't have to vote next time either. We can go again.
All righty. Sounds good. Okay, thank y'all. Thank you again. Thanks to Art for your help as well, and thank you, Dr. Caldera. All right, then we move then to Agenda 8. Any requests from the members of the council to add any items to future agendas?
Just a reminder,
Yes, go
Mayor.
ahead.
I'm not going to be here at the next meeting, and I probably will miss your coffee with the mayor on that Saturday.
Okay, so you'll be out on the 21st and the 25th.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good.
And Dr. Cardera, do we still have those paintings or those designs about the silos when we tried to do it about 3 or 4 years ago, when we were working at it and trying to get, do you guys still have that?
I included it in y'all's last retreat because we talked about painting the silos at our last retreat. I can report those to y'all.
And then, is there a CPAC meeting in April on the 23rd?
No, I think they,
Just got it there. 25th,
no.
15th?
Yeah. The 15th, it's on the 15th of April, good. So those of you that are on the CPAC, it's April 15th. I always thought it was the fourth Wednesday, but it's the third. Yeah, moved up, okay, April 15th, okay, great, thank you, I appreciate
And
that.
thank you, Merit. If I can piggyback on that, is there a way we can contact the CPAC members at their expiration is this May 3rd? I think there's about 3 or 4, or 2, 4,
We've already, they
6.
received an email.
Yeah,
Can you send an
Sandra,
email, Sam?
Sandra got on
You
it.
want to stay, you please
Yeah,
read.
Sandra did, yeah. Mhm.
Thank
She
you.
did last week, yeah, I saw it. Okay, all right, so if there's no further business, then and no objections, we move to adjourn at 9:39 on April the 7th. Y'all take care.
Y'all did a great job moving this agenda along. I thought we were going to be here.
Ooh, yeah, we did. All righty, thank y'all very much. Have a good evening.
There's only 2 trash bags. They're saying